Get ready to freak the out at Creep IE Aftermath. This Halloween season's largest spooky-themed convention in Southern California, September 20th through the 22nd in Ontario, California. Meet celebrity guests including Juliette Lewis, Jane Levy, Nick Castle, Tom Adkins, and Billy D. Williams, as well as cast members from Terrifier 3, E.T., Mayans MC, and more. Shop at over 170 vendors and experience bloody, disgusting, curated panel Q&As, the Fear Farm Haunt, Masked Republic Lucha Libre Wrestling, food trucks, the Aftermath After Party, and so much more. Get your tickets today at creepiecon.com.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Want to teach your kids financial literacy, but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
Slashers, huh? What's your favorite scary movie?
Not that one.
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We're talking Macarena CPR, we're talking French serial killers, and we're talking Jesus is white and gay. And I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we are talking very painful-looking pregnant belly rips.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, everyone, we are discussing Julia Ducournau's follow-up to Raw, see previous episode, Titane, which that is how it's pronounced. I remember when this was coming out, everyone said it differently.
Yeah, I feel like everybody still does. I probably said it differently.
Well, see, okay. My one takeaway from my first viewing of this movie is I was listening for them to say Titane at any point in the film.
No,
it happens in the prologue.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Because when they're putting the titanium plate in her head, it just means titanium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to do the Sia song.
Oh, no, that would have been a really, well, maybe on the nose, but no, we are not going to do that. We're just discussing the movie. But this is, I mean, Joe, this is a pretty dense film. So I think we're going to need maybe not one, but two guests tonight. So everyone, let's go ahead and bring them in. They are the hosts of Girl That's Scary, a podcast in which two homegirls discuss poltergeists, their plans for the pending zombie apocalypse, and everything in between. You may also remember them from our episode on Hereditary from, I think, last year. Please welcome Jazz and Kat.
Hello. That was amazing. I want y'all to know I was saying y'all intro as y'all was saying it because I am a avid listener of this show.
Well, and of course, Trace, you missed one of their previous guest appearances as well, because this is the second time they've guested on a French episode.
Oh my god, wait, what was the first one?
Diabolique.
Les Diaboliques.
Oh my god. Whoa, that was like year 2. Holy shit, how did I forget that? Well, you know what? It doesn't matter.
It's a long time ago.
It's so funny. The first like 2 or 3 years we were doing the podcast, I was like, how could anyone forget an episode they've done? And now we're in year 6, and I forget a lot of episodes that we have done.
I was gonna say, I mean, when you get up into like the 400s, it starts to add up. Yeah,
just a little bit. But welcome, ladies. So I'm curious, Joe. You said that one of them may have picked this one. Which one of you is the lover of this film?
It's me.
It's Janice.
Kat is like, it is not me.
This movie makes my skin crawl. I love it though, but not like Jazz.
No, I honestly, I think I've kind of figured that out with Ducournau's films. Like, I mean, because I'm also not, like, I don't connect with Raw very well. Again, everyone go listen to that episode. But her movies just make me feel very uncomfortable. And I think maybe that's part of the reason. But we'll unpack that. But Jazz, why do you love this movie so much?
This is one of those movies where I watched it and I could not guess what was happening next. I couldn't believe my eyes. But then also what I was seeing with my eyes was very beautiful. Somehow it was disturbing and beautiful at the same time. Then all the needle drops are amazing. Then the use of seduction, the way it's turned on and off. I just really liked the blend of everything. Although we're going to talk about this main character who is not a good person. They're not a good person at all. But their journey, traversing between, femme and masculine, like that was like interesting to watch. And I kind of like that. And I just, every time I watch it, I find something new or interesting about how people behave in certain environments. So I was just like, look at that. Yeah. I love this movie.
Well, so Kat, it seems like you and I might be more on the same wavelength because I admittedly didn't vibe with this film very much the first time I saw it, but I actually liked it a lot more in my rewatch, and I did watch it again right before we recorded this. So it's not a film that I really want to revisit very often because it's just, but I did like it a lot more.
Okay, I'm glad you liked it a lot more. When I first watched it, it was very much like, what the fuck am I watching? Because I felt just like Jazz. Like, I don't know what's happening next.
It's a little unclassifiable, I think.
Yeah, I remember I caught this, I want to say at TIFF.
It probably, because I was a Fantastic Fest watch, so it had to have been TIFF for you.
There we go. Okay. And it was one of those things where everyone was so excited, but I think we all went in expecting this was going to be very similar in tone and style to Raw. And I would argue that Ducournau has always had a fantastic eye. Like, she shoots the fuck out of these movies. But if you go in thinking this is going to be Raw 2.0, like me, when we hit that shift and all of a sudden we're not just killing people and doing needle drops, like you said, Jazz, it shifts into something completely different. And I was actually kind of disappointed the first time I saw it because it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And then I realized I don't think it's doing anything anyone expects. So that's my fault.
Listen, every time I watch this, I was like, well, the first time, I think me and my friend was like, we're just going to rent a movie. I don't know if you've ever been like, let's just rent a movie.
Casual watch.
Yeah.
Let's just watch Titane.
Well, yeah, we was like, it's new. And we have a friend on Twitter, Andrew Pope. Hey, Andrew. But Andrew, if he says, I like this movie, I'm like, let me at least see. Let me just at least see. Just like if Sheree says, I really like this movie, I have to at least see. Even if I disagree, I know it's not going to be poorly made at the very minimum. And I logged in. I was like, hey, what the fuck is this? Every 10 minutes was, what the fuck? What the fuck? Yep. Hey, but I've never seen anything like this. And I can't get these images out of my mind. Also, it features one of my worst fears of having something in your ear. That is a very direct fear of mine. And
there are so many things in this movie that, watching them, I had to. And everyone, if you're listening and you haven't seen this movie, it's not a gory movie. Like, it's not like blood and splatter, but like anything that hurts or could hurt a person
hurts so much.
Hurts, and I'm thinking specifically of that hair getting caught in the nipple piercing. But there's many things in this.
I have a real life experience with that. That's not fun.
I cannot. But it's the same thing with Raw, because we had all those reports about people fainting when they were seeing Raw. Even though there's nothing really gory in that movie, I would argue the most painful thing in that movie is the waxing scene.
Yes.
And it's kind of the same thing here, where it's like, it's not, because there were also reports of some people fainting in some of this festival screenings for this, which again, I'm just kind of like, it's nothing, you can't pinpoint it as like, it was just so gross, like blah, blah, blah. It's just more so how Ducournau makes viewers feel with these specific grotesque scenes.
Yeah, just very, very visceral. It's uncomfortable a lot of the time. And you're constantly left questioning, like, what is it? What am I watching? Oh my God. She really does have a kind of visionary eye.
Yeah, 100%. So actually, Joe, because you saying, I wanted another Raw 2.0. That's not what I got. That leads in perfectly to my production, because it took her a long time to figure out this movie and what she was going to do because of how successful Raw was.
Yeah, it's got to be tough when you come out of the gates with a bit of a barn burner, right? Everybody's like, holy shit, who is this new exciting voice? And then you've got to find a way to follow that up.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let's just jump into this because I feel like we have a lot to talk about with the film itself. But I will say, I'm pulling all of this information from 2 interviews with Julia Ducournau. One is Under Her Skin with Rachel Handler for Vulture, and the other one is Titane director Julia Ducournau explains how she crafted the year's wildest film by Mark Olson for the LA Times. So, I want to say, just some background that I found out on Ducournau that I found interesting. She grew up in an apartment next to the Moulin Rouge.
Wow.
With a dermatologist father and a gynecologist mother who casually talked about their patients at the dinner table, sparking Ducournau's lifelong fascination with the human body, its grossness, its ability to morph and change, and its inevitable decay, which is on display in both of her films.
Wow. Yes, yeah.
So, okay, how does one follow up Raw, a critical hit and one of the strongest debut features to come out this century? Well, let's look at the aftermath of Raw's release, because while Ducournau was thrilled it translated to a larger audience, she was actually very disappointed by the conversations that it spawned. She insists that she did not want to gratuitously shock anyone. She just wanted to use the concept of cannibalism as a prompt to urge her audience to question their humanity, to create empathy in the face of the ultimate taboo. And this is a direct quote from Ducournau. You make something, you do it with your heart, and then people are prepared to throw up when they watch it. You have all these people that say they like your film, and at the same time, so many others that have misunderstood it. Personally, I couldn't help but put this on myself, thinking, oh my god, maybe I should have expressed myself better. She was particularly furious, by the way, at France, which put the highest possible rating restriction on Raw. So to that, Ducournau says, that's bullcrap. It's just another body. It's just because it's different that it's disturbing to people.
And I think probably a bit of genre adversity, right? Because the French, as we discussed last time with the two of you, don't always love them a genre film, right? Like they like to think of themselves as the place where the Cahiers de Cinema was born. So...
Yeah.
Which is so funny because when those French horror films, I'm like, they're all extreme, even when they're not extreme. Biting someone's finger like a chicken wing is extreme no matter how you decide to film it. Like, it's going to be stressful no matter what.
But that's the thing is, though, like, France doesn't like any of those films. They don't, like, pride themselves on... I mean, the filmmakers do, but France as a country doesn't pride themselves on those French extremity films. Because, again, that's, like, low class. That's what the Americans do, I think, is the quote we saw.
Yeah, I think that's from Xavier Jean, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
This sounds uppity. This sounds very bougie.
Damn, y'all
bougie things. Seriously, like I'm here for some bougie activities. This is cool, but we all like a little blood, guts, and ass on our screens from time to time.
Always.
French listeners, speak up, please. Let us know if you like horror or not.
I mean, if they're listening, I would assume so.
Well, I mean, like, I want to know if we have any French. I need to look at our demographics better.
No,
But anyway, Ducournau went into a writer's block for a while after Raw came out. It's interesting. She's like, I woke up every day. You know, she would stare at her computer and not be able to type anything. So she finally defeated this block when she realized just how angry she was at everything that people were expecting of her next film. Everything she was expecting about her next film. And she says, and I quote, I was angry at Raw in a way because it was taking way too much space. So when she allowed herself to be enraged by her own little Frankenstein's monster of a movie, she was able to release herself from its grip. And it was around this time that she also began to have graphic nightmares about giving birth to pieces of a car, one piece of metal at a time.
But also, Trace, wait, are you suggesting that female rage can be productive?
Oh my god.
And that we should maybe allow it to happen?
Oh,
what?
Don't worry. We're going to go more into that because she has plenty of things to say about the gender inequality when it comes to specifically violent female characters versus violent male characters.
Oh, yeah.
So she started writing, and in doing so, she abandoned the 3-act structure and shirked any log line that might have helped sell the movie. Important to note, before its release, the only accompanying description of this film was a definition of the word titanium. I think that was even in the festival blurbs. Like, no one knew what this movie was actually about.
Yeah, I remember for TIFF, it was a single photo accompanying the director and the times that it was screening, and it was just Alexia on the car. So you were like, it's a sexy movie, I guess.
Well, it is.
It is that.
Well, it is until it's not.
And then it is again.
I was going to say.
Sex and violence.
Yeah. Well, nevertheless, this attracted Neon, who picked up the script in 2019, and the film went behind the camera in 2020. It was supposed to start in April of 2020, but the pandemic pushed that back to September.
There we go.
So I will say this script, Ducournau hates explaining things. She likes to be an active viewer and connect the dots herself. And this is a really funny example. She hates establishing shots. Like she's like, like when like you switch to a new scene and you have this like wide shot of a building and you see the two characters walking into the building and then you cut and all of a sudden they're in the building. Yeah, I hate that. You will never see one of those shots in my films. It's useless and it takes up too much space.
I will say I've watched a number of interviews with her and even interviewed her myself. And yeah, she is absolutely loath to give you any kind of pedantic answer. So if you say like, well, what does this mean? Or what were you trying to do here? She's like, figure it out your fucking self.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let the art speak again. Like she just kind of puts it out there and you kind of form your own opinion. Oh,
Sure.
There's a lot that I wonder if that's a lot of, I hear like a lot of people who are not American to say that. They're like, Americans need too much explaining. You always want to know why.
Yep.
There is no why. Just this is happening. Just deal with it. And I like that.
And that's the thing too, like people would ask her like, oh, well, like, is a lot of this in the main character's head? Is it real? She goes, of course it's real. It's real in the world of the film that I'm building.
Right. What you're seeing is real because it's on screen.
Yeah. But she knew from the start that she would have a film that would follow a character who's presented as the main character, and that it was impossible to like her, to morally relate to this person. So the question she gave herself was, how do you do it so that the audience doesn't walk out of the room after 3 or 5 minutes because they just don't have the stomach for it? And so, again, while writing this, she thought, is there only one way to relate to a character? Do we really have to have main characters that are morally acceptable to us? And obviously, she doesn't think that's the case,
right.
Saying it would be incredibly reductive. And she points out one specific influence in this film. She goes, there have been many more examples in the history of cinema that prove this wrong, going on to name specifically John McNaughton's Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Oh.
Even going so far as to say that the portrayal of that serial killer informs Alexia in this movie.
What a choice.
But also, she has thoughts on, as I said, violent female characters, because she finds it annoying that to portray violence in women is still nowadays morally unacceptable. Saying that every single film you see where a woman is violent, the violence has to constantly be justified and explained. And that's just not fair. You have all these male characters that can be incredibly violent for no reason. And her go-to example is Javier Bardem's character in No Country for Old Men. There's no reason for him being that way. He just is that way.
Right.
So she wanted her main character, Alexia, to be unapologetically violent, because if you justify the violence, then it's like, oh, she's a victim at the start. She was fine and something went wrong. And that's just not interesting to Ducournau.
Oh, so we should not expect any kind of rape revenge thriller in the future.
Well, here's the thing, though. I would love to see what she does with it, if only because I don't think it would be like any rape revenge film we've ever seen before.
Right. Yeah.
But back to Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, she loves the way that film bends the audience's morals. He's a horrible character, a serial killer. If you've never seen that movie, everyone, be able to. It's not an easy watch.
No. And apparently there's a sequel, I think.
What? Really?
Does Michael Rooker return for it?
I'm not sure, but I definitely was like, 2? There's 2 of these?
Oh.
Why?
Yeah, it is called Part 2, released in 96, and they recast Henry.
Okay.
But, this is a character that has no empathy whatsoever, but there's a moment in that film when he defends another character's sister, and you root for him, and all of a sudden, as an audience, your morals are completely twisted. You feel empathy for Henry at this moment when you actually were horrified from him by the start, and that's what she wanted to do with this, or something like that with this movie. Because I think that's the other thing too, when you're walking into this, you don't know you're watching a movie about a serial killer. So when she just starts killing people, I feel like, at least for me, my brain wanted to be like, well, why is she doing this?
Yeah, it's definitely unexpected.
Yeah, she's just a villain. Like, she's just a villain. She's a villainess. She's one of those, especially because I worked, with children. Sometimes, and you watch kids
oh, no.
do stuff. No, bro. Sometimes you watch kids do stuff, and you be like, someone needs to intervene, like, right now. Like, someone, because some of them can be guided. They still have their nature about them, right? But no, this seems like a kid who might pull the wing off a butterfly, bro. Like, I think we might need to lean in and maybe redirect.
And some people might be like, oh, it's the car crash that does it, because there's also like a link between, sociopaths and psychopaths and head trauma. But she seemed pretty not okay before the car crash.
I think there's layers to this.
Yes.
There's car crash.
Wait till we talk about that car crash, yes.
Girl, the stuff with her, you could clearly see there's something going on with her parents. Like, things are not okay in the home.
No.
So with this character she wanted to do, the way she got around this issue of how do I get the audience to connect to her was, if the audience can't relate morally to Alexia, then I'm going to make them relate to her body. And so Alexia's body was Ducournau's entry point to create an umbilical cord between the audience and her in an attempt to make the audience feel what she feels. Again, the goal here to create a bond between Alexia and the audience, even if the audience is sitting there resisting it because they find this character morally reprehensible.
Oh my God, all this pregnancy-related language in the interviews that she's giving about the film. Love it.
Yes. So speaking of Alexia, though, who is played by Agathe Roussel, this is her feature film debut, and oddly enough, the casting director found her on Instagram.
Welcome back to the new age, everybody.
Surprise, surprise.
Well, so Ducournau knew she wanted to work with a non-professional because she didn't want anything to project anything on that exact transformation. But it's interesting. I love hearing these directors talk about how they don't want a celebrity. And sometimes it's because they don't want to deal with the actual celebrity of it all.
Right.
But in this case, Ducournau says, she doesn't want the audience to think, this is an actress I saw in a film when she was very feminine and high heels, and now she's doing this transformation, a la Charlize Theron in Monster or something like that. So she wanted a completely blank slate for the audience who wouldn't be projecting their image of this famous actress onto this character. So that's why she went for someone who was non-professional.
Right. No baggage.
Yeah, no baggage. She also knew she wanted a face that was completely unknown and androgynous, testing both male and female non-professionals in this role. It was a long process because it was very broad, but in the end, Ducournau made Roussel come back 5 or 6 times because she had never acted before. And with that, you have to dig a little bit deeper. So after casting her, they didn't just jump into filming. They worked for a year or so based on both her acting and physical preparation. She didn't know how to fight, for example, so she had to learn how to fight. But so yeah, they worked on this together for a year before the camera even started rolling.
Holy shit.
Part of this was Ducournau would make her work on monologues on many films, also specifically Villanelle's monologues from the TV series Killing Eve. Which is interesting considering that Alexia doesn't talk much in this movie.
No.
I was tempted to go back and specifically count how many lines she has, because I honestly think it's probably less than 5.
Yeah. But basically, she wanted to see what she was capable of. What kind of emotions was Roussel capable of, and what could she get out of her, and what were her limitations? She needed to have a grasp of all that before the shoot. And I mean, I'm just going to say, I don't think she has many limitations based on what we see in this film.
No limits, because just playing that role just has to be some kind of physical feat because of all the... Because this is an action movie, low key. It's not an action movie, but it's an action movie, and y'all know that's my kind of carrying on. So,
well, it's like a horror movie and an action movie and an emotional drama. It has romantic qualities to it, even though they're not they're paternally romantic.
Oh, I have so much to say about the back part of this movie where you're just I shouldn't cringe. I shouldn't be uncomfortable with this, but also this is a father-son/daughter relationship. It's bizarre, the kinds of emotions that Ducournau can elicit from us.
But Titane had its world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival in July of 2021, where it did receive the Palme d'Or, aka the highest honor for any film at that festival. This made Ducournau the second female director to win this award, following Jane Campion in 1993 for The Piano. So that is, almost 30 years later?
Yeah. And the festival has been running for how many years?
Much longer than that. But this is the first to win not jointly with another director, because Campion had also previously won jointly alongside Chen Cage, who won for Farewell My Concubine. But she was also the 4th woman overall to win this award, because Adele Exarchopoulos and Léa Seydoux won in 2013 for their performances in Blue is the Warmest Color.
Right, yes.
But Titane was released in the United States by Neon on October 1st, 2021, and was very well received. We are looking at a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes with an average rating of 7.8 out of 10, whereas Letterboxd users have given it a 7.2 out of 10. At TIFF, it won the People's Choice Award for The Midnight Madness. It was selected as the French entry for the Best International Feature Film at the Academy Awards, but it did not make the shortlist. It was not nominated. This is the year that Japan's Drive My Car won Best International Feature.
Right.
At the Caesar Awards, France's Oscars, it was nominated for but didn't win 4 awards, including Best Director for Ducournau and Most Promising Actress for Roussel. Ducournau received a nomination for Best Director at the BAFTAs but did not win. However, at the Marguerite Awards, which is Belgium's, I guess, version of the Academy Awards, Titane received 5 nominations, winning for Best Foreign Film and Best Cinematography.
Okay. They deserve that cinematography.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that is Titane. So let's dig into this plot.
Okay, so as teased, we're going to open with a car crash. So we have isolated exterior shots of leaky car parts. So motor oil be dripping. And we are introduced to young Alexia in the backseat. She is played by Adele Guiguet. And she's got this passive-aggressive tendency where she is actively trying to annoy her father, first by being very loud, and then by kicking the back of his seat. He is played by Bertrand Bonello, and when she removes her seatbelt, this is when he gets really upset with her, and we end up crashing the car, and she smokes the side of her head.
I'm sorry, she smokes the side of her head?
Like smokes it against the window.
I've never heard that term before. I'm sorry, Jazz and Kat, have y'all heard that before?
No, I've learned something new today. I leaned all the way in.
I was using context clues. I said, okay, this is a vocabulary word.
I figured that. I've just never heard it used before.
This is not a Canadian euphemism. Okay. Interesting.
Listeners, polls go up.
I was like, maybe the head really did smoke up. It did.
I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised in the surgery sequences that follow because we are getting, as you said, Trace, this isn't really gory, but we are like within 2 minutes of this movie, car crash, surgery, and then we've got this young girl. This was the other promotional still that they released was this little girl with the head brace on and the shaved head, and you just think, are we doing experiments on children? Is this a Stranger Things kind of deal?
Yeah, and no, it's parents not like, okay, we know they got beef, but also this is something you see all the time. A child is trying to get attention because they could have gotten an argument earlier. It could have been, I'm not getting what I want. It could just be, maybe she's just stimming right now and she's feeling the vibrations of the car and you want to turn the music up and ruin her party in the back. So now she got an attitude.
Yeah.
All I would have done was pulled over. We can't do any reprimanding while we are driving. Okay. No. So I'm like, especially if she took the seatbelt off, the first thing we're pulling over. We can't move because you're unbuckled out of your seat. You need to understand that this is unsafe. But instead, which I see a lot of parents do. He got irritated and like, hey, stop it. Hey, or he never even checked to see what's going on. What's wrong? What's wrong? Why are you trying to make this noise? Like, are you interested in the car? Like, he didn't peek, like, see why she was making it? Because maybe she's just interested in car stuff. Maybe you can get a little headset so she can listen to the car sounds, in her earbuds. Again, there were so many options, but no. So you want to do this.
See, Jazz, this is how I know you work with kids, because I know that instinctively, Trace and my reactions was, oh, yeah, no, you just, yell at this child. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Put your seatbelt on. Like,
well, you don't, stop driving and turn around.
Oh, God. So dangerous.
Everything definitely made it worse. I put in my notes, I was like, there were so many choices that were made. Like Jazz said, there were so many things. At one point, as the adult, right? Because you're the adult.
You are the adult. You're in control.
You have to ignore it, right? Like, it's really hard. And I know that people are like, you don't have any kids. You don't fucking know. Well, surprise, surprise.
I've taught hundreds of kids.
Let's go there. And, let's talk about how the educators are with your children longer than you are. Stares right into the camera.
Ooh, are you coming for J.D. Vance? How dare you?
Ha! Listen, somebody's got to. So I'm just like, there were so many things. Like, I really wish he just ignored her. He could have pulled over and not yelled at her. Because everything that he did, even leading up to the accident, it just made it worse. So once again, there was weird shit already existing between this father-child situation well before we become a grown-up. and a magical serial killer overnight.
I think the other way to read this is that, yeah, this child is aggressive and abrasive and so on. Like, I think the people who are searching for answers, like when you see what becomes of this character, I think people want to backtrack, as we've all suggested, and said, oh, well, you know, maybe there was something wrong with her even before the accident because she's a brat. She's a little shit. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Because we don't know. I don't know if she is like this all the time. I don't know if this is just, again, because I think people don't want to hear this, right? But I think all kids can be little shits. All of them. Sure, because they don't know how to fucking human. They're all learning how to human. All kids are annoying in some way because they're learning how to do things in a socially acceptable way. So even if your kid is a little shit, like they're not empathetic and they hit people and hurt small things, you can intervene with that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we can tell by their interactions that there is no intervening. They're avoidant towards each other. They just take up each other's space and you can feel the tension, but they never really talk about what's wrong. They just get to a boiling point and that's it. Because when they're adults, they just be in the same room and the dad acts like she is a ghost. Like they pass like 2 ships in a night. And I'm like, they live in the house. He's just like, nope, I don't see you. Yeah, but I see you.
Crazy.
Yeah, even after this surgery has happened and we learn that she has had a titanium plate put in her head, we do get this aftermath where, you know, the doctor is telling the parents kind of off screen. So we're focusing primarily on just Alexia. But we hear the parents kind of bickering and she doesn't respond to them. So they want to make sure that she's okay. And all she wants to do is run out to the car, give it a hug, and give it a kiss.
Disturbing. I was like, oh no, please, no. And also it draws me back to the beginning where you're seeing this car and you can have different views of its relationship. Like some people can see it as the monster, as the catalyst, you know, as the vice, because we see what's going on with her in the car later on. You can also maybe see the car as her lover, you know. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things going on here.
I just love that y'all are like, oh yeah, she goes and hugs the car, which is disturbing. And I was like, not compared to what's coming next.
No, but that car's dirty. So don't put your mouth on stuff like that. That's nasty, okay?
Yeah. Well, I think it also very early on insinuates a kind of different relationship, right? Not only does she have difficulty relating to maybe just her parents, but maybe also by extension human beings, she seems to be intimately enamored with the car. Like the car is an entity and a body in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but wildly something that, well, I don't know, because she could view the car as something that hurt her or view the car, her father, as something, the person that hurt her versus viewing the titanium, the metal, as something that saved her, because that's where she is now. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm stressed. Well, I don't know if this is exactly how. I feel like it was a perfect storm already. We already had some traits going on, and then this happened that might have like mixed it all up.
Alters the course of history.
Exactly. And the parenting style, because we can tell.
Yeah. Okay, so we cut to adult Alexia. I should mention that all happens in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we cut to adult Alexia, who is now played by Agathe Roussel, and she is pinning up her hair with a metal hairpin. Lo and behold, did anyone guess that this thing was going to become a signature fixture of the film?
No,
maybe? I don't know. At this point, you don't.
No, I thought she was just styling. I thought she was just like, okay, I'm about to, you know, the cool girls, they put their hair in a little bun, they put the little stick in hair, something I could never do to hold that hair up. And they be like, yeah, I'm about to do this. I'm like, wow, that's cool, because I only see it happen in movies. So go ahead, sit that butt up there. Then they got the music drop with I Love This Song. I'm like, oh, this is the cool girl. Look at her coming in with her little cool hair. It's cars in here, which I didn't know. Like, as you described the scene, apparently this is something that happens more so like in Europe.
Oh, like a car show, you mean?
Yeah, because they have car shows, but they usually don't have dancers in this way. Like, it's hot girls around there, but they're not dancing on the... Yes, hot girls, but they're not dancing on the car this way, and they're not, like, getting autograph. Like, these are famous girls. They have people asking for selfies, so she's a star.
Trace, do you know what this reminded me of?
What? Crash?
Well, there's definitely like people have compared this film to Crash, to Tetsuo, a couple of others. This particular instance where she goes into the car show and there's nothing but hot girls, autograph seekers. Of course, they're primarily men. They're a little bit lecherous, creepy. We'll get to that. This reminds me of the boat sequence from Showgirls, where Nomi gets hired to go and essentially be a sex worker for the day.
Because her job here is actually, she's a showgirl at a car show.
Yeah. Yeah, we're showing those curves in more ways than one.
She was popping that little butt. Like, when she was turning around, listen, she was shaking, okay? She had spunk. I really was digging it. She did. She sells seduction so well. It's like she comes in there like this is a job. Like she's just like, move out the way. I'm putting my bag down, whatever. I'm clocking in, whatevs. She just drops the bag and then the music plays and the movements, they're so fluid. The eye contact, it's just the way she moves. And you can see that she could turn it on because we see that later on in the movie where they're like raging and then all of a sudden that music drops. Oh, yeah, this is what y'all want? I got it.
She can entrance people. Yeah.
I was entranced.
Just because I know that costuming is often lost on Trace, no offense. Do you have any observations about the green fishnets and like the tan booty shorts and so on? Like, this is interesting costuming.
This was a look. Once again, I'm not usually seeing the girlies dance on the cars. You know, they be hanging out at the local car shows and the local car link-ups. But we're not usually like, this is your job to just twerk on the car every day. But I thought this was a look, though. It gave Go-Go Dancer.
Yes.
It did give Go-Go.
Ooh. And I love, like Jess said, when she came in, she dropped her shit down. She got on the car. She did what she had. Like, when the song was over, she slid off and was like, and I'm signing papers and leaving.
Right.
That immediately tells me that this is someone who's got a lot of stuff going on. Because clearly dancing on car, like, this is your job, but this is not, like, your top priority. You came in, you punched out, we got to go. Yeah. And I'm still nervous, because what you doing?
And the outfit, I will say, all right, I wrote this as a note. I love the like neon fishnets. I hate that she paired it with this fucking yellow gold outfit. I wish she would have paired it with something like a blue, something that would have popped. But also I wonder, because the gold seems to wash her out. It's not like the best color, but I wonder if that's on purpose to make her look almost more like nude. You know, so maybe that was on purpose to like, okay, this looks more like skin and it blends in. And then, you know, I feel like tights are just like, strippers need a little tight or a little rhinestone or something, you know, it just makes the outfit pop.
But the shorts and the shoes, it was the shoes.
Oh, I did like the shoes. I had no complaints about, no notes about the shoes, no notes.
Oh. I mean, that being said, while I'm not reading much into the costume, I loved this entire sequence because it's basically a music video dance sequence.
Yeah. It is, and it's a long take. Like, we follow her from entrance all the way to the end of the song when she gets off the car. I believe it's an uninterrupted take.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. And she's a good dancer, and I don't know what the song is. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I love the song.
The Kills, Doing It to Death.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Somebody Shazammed it.
I did. I found it because of this movie.
I'm so happy you know that because I know we just have listeners being like, it's this one, Trace, it's this one.
Shout out to Jazz.
There we go. Okay, so after this, yes, the shift is over, so let's clock out. We've got all the girls in the shower, and this is when Alexia gets her hair caught in the nipple ring of Justine, who is played by Garance Marillier from Raw. And Trace, you noted that this is the same character name even.
Yeah, and I tried to find if Ducournau was going to be like, yeah, that's the same character. But she's very much, it could be.
Of course. You asked for an answer. She's not going to give you one.
I decided it is. I decided she left that veterinary school, said, I'm fuck this shit, and I'm fuck this family.
I'm going to be a dancer.
And she's dancer, yes.
That's kind of the thing for me. I choose to believe, yes, this is the same character from Raw. And also, to expand upon that, though, be like, she would have eaten her if Alexia wouldn't have killed her first. Because also, if you remember, Alexia was her sister's name, too, in Raw.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We are working through some shit. Has someone checked with Julia Ducournau's therapist to see if she has issues around certain names?
Or if there's anyone in her life named Justine or Alexia that she is using in these films.
Right.
Wow.
So obviously this is an uncomfortable, I mean, it's a sexy moment and also a moment of discomfort because Justine is in a certain amount of pain. And then we distract her when somebody is like, hey, can you hurry the fuck up? We want to get in the shower too. And Alexia takes that opportunity to just rip the hair out. And it, again, you can get the hint that something isn't quite right with her because she seems to take a certain amount of sadistic glee.
I'm stressed. Joe, I'm sorry. Y'all are talking and I'm grabbing my chest. I'm like, please, like reliving the scene in my mind.
Because I can feel that.
Yeah, okay. Because snagging your nipple rings on a thing, your life is over.
It's the sound too, and that's something that I think in all of these scenes that are hard to watch, it's the sound, the Foley work that makes it work so well.
Great sound design.
Be it, again, the sound of a belly just like ripping open, or the sound of hair getting stuck in a nipple piercing. And this is, I mean, again, like I don't have a nipple piercing, but I grab my nipples whenever I was watching this.
It feels like hell.
Listen.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
Jesus.
So while I'm watching this, and then like you said, you see that she gets a little pleasure out of like just ripping it out, and I'm like, I told y'all, you need to watch her. But what made things more confusing, they're still deciding to link up later.
Yes, which tells us, I think, a little something about Justine too. You know, she may protest, but I think she liked a little bit of the pain.
Yeah.
Well, Justine was into that freaky shit. We saw her in the other movie. I told y'all this is the same person. She's into that freaky shit. I've just made it up in my mind that no, this is the same universe.
Yeah.
Wax me and pull on my nipple ring. Yep.
Match my freak. Thank you.
There we go. Yes. Okay, so outside, Alexia turns down autograph seekers, and then she is followed to her car by a fan who is played by Thibault Califod, and he forcibly holds down her window, you know, saying, "Oh, I'm your biggest fan. I think I'm in love with you," which is so uncomfortable. And then he forces his way into the car. So he's over top of her, perched in the driver's seat. And he starts to kiss her, and initially you can see her saying like, no, fuck off. But then she relents, if only because she reaches up, she grabs the hairpin, and she just jams this in this motherfucker's ear.
I think, too, this is where it's like, because, again, if you're watching this for the first time and you don't know the whole plot, like, you don't know she's a serial killer. So you're watching this like, oh, yeah, girl, get this creep.
Exactly.
And so I think this is actually a really good move on Ducournau's part. And I don't know if she'd ever had this in the film before she starts, you know, killing people we like. But that seems like a good way, almost like a bait and switch, right? Like, oh, yeah, I like it when you kill. And then she's about to kill people we don't want her to kill.
Exactly. It's like that meme where you see, oh, call the ambulance, but not for me. That's exactly what I thought of. Because it's like, oh, yeah, come on, try me. And no, he found out, like he fucked around and found out immediately. But then we fucked around and found out because of the next scene. We had to watch that against our will, although I've seen this a lot of times. I keep watching this.
Okay, so before we move on, I do want to bring in the first of a couple of different sources I'm going to reference throughout this. So I'm pulling from Sasha Geffen's piece, Titane proves no one has a body for them. And Geffen says, because she begins the movie by murdering people, Alexia initially seems to hew to the stereotype of the badly gendered villain. She is not great at being a normal girl. She kills the men who would make her one, and so she must be evil. But Ducournau flips the easy course. The more monstrous her protagonist gets, the more human and beloved they become. That's a bit of a tease. I'm going to pull from Geffen a fair amount throughout this, but I thought it was interesting, if only because, I remember initially watching this, Trace, and thinking, oh, okay, so this is going to be a female revenge narrative. Like, we're going to see shitty dudes, and she's going to take them out. And that's what you think the film is for about these first 20 minutes.
Which I think that's what I struggled with on a first viewing, was it wasn't what I was expecting it to be. So I fall into the Joe trap, actually.
Yes.
Which I would argue maybe Raw was kind of the same thing for me, again, where I was expecting, well, and that's that discourse Ducournau was talking about, right? Where I was expecting this gory, upsetting cannibal movie, and that's not what I got.
Right. Yeah. You got a sweet cannibal coming of age film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas this is like a look into identity, gender or otherwise, and love?
A little bit. Acceptance, yeah. Okay, so let's move on. She has not come out of this altercation unscathed. It's almost like she caresses the body, but as a result, all of this frothy fluid has come out of this guy's mouth and then all over her back and her cheek and her neck and so on. So she goes back into the venue so that she can shower, and then she hears a banging sound. And initially, if you're me, you think, oh, it's Justine. We're going to get some kind of hot makeout, or it's a different fan or somebody else. But when she opens the door, we should note that she is fully nude in this scene. She goes out to explore, and it's the Cadillac that she was dancing on earlier with the headlights on, no one else around. So she climbs in and she rides that motherfucker.
It's like Christine, but not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh,
and this is where the questions start lining up for me.
Here we go.
Because I'm glad you said that, Trace, because I'm like, all right, what is the car? Like, how
is the car?
All of this happened so quickly. Like, this is probably the fastest 12 hours that anything has happened in anyone's life on record that week.
But she's not so, hey, my question actually to both of you, do you think this is the first time this has happened?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay.
I don't know. She had to at least have a little car foreplay. Like, she might have made out with the car or did some other freaky stuff in the car.
See, I got the impression that she's been in a relationship with this car for a very long time, which is why this is the car she dances on and why this is it calling to her, right? Like, she hears it and she's not fazed by any of this. I mean, she's not really fazed by much in this movie, but I actually read this as she's in a relationship with this car.
See, I could read this as a first time encounter. Like, we had a hot date where I danced on you earlier, and then you beckoned to me, and this is now when we're getting down to business. But this car is sentient, folks. If you have not seen this film, like, it's not like, oh, what do you mean? She fucks the car. Like, she gets in the back seat, she wraps herself up in the seatbelt, and she fucks the fucking car.
Is it the hydraulics that makes it bounce? Is that what it is?
Yes. Definitely the hydraulics.
The hydraulics are going nuts.
Wild.
We cut back and forth to the interior of the car where we're watching her getting fucked. And everyone, it's not like we're not seeing anything. Like, we just see her upper body as like she's like thriving around in this car. But then we will cut to the exterior where this car is just bouncing. It's almost like parodical because do you remember the hot chick whenever that one girl who's mixed race, she's black and Asian, but then her mom is Asian, but she's like very and she has that car that just bounces.
Yes. They were making so many choices. That movie. Oh my God, that movie.
But you know what I mean? That's the kind of bouncing we're doing here. Unless cars can really bounce like that with the hydraulics.
Yeah, souped up cars can. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I know they can bounce, but did they bounce that high?
Yeah, they get even higher.
That's not even as high as they can go.
No, they look like they can flip backwards.
Literally, I always thought that joke in The Hot Chick was like an overdone version of a fuck, you've just like altered my entire way of thinking.
Watch Trace like soup up his car now so he could do that down the block.
That seems so inconvenient. I don't know why anyone would want to do it. It seems so inconvenient.
No, they're having a grand old time. They're out here showing off their vehicles, just like people like to show off their pin collections. We got to see who has the best everything.
Who has the highest hop of their car.
Absolutely. Yes. Who got the best rims? Who got the best candy paint?
Best speakers.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
All their tweeting. Let me see.
Speakers I get, though, because there's a practical purpose for that. But a car hop? Like, what is the point of that?
It's posturing. It's all about showing off.
It's sexy.
It's like when you be on the road and you see people, I don't know where y'all live, but
they do car tricks.
They be doing donuts and people doing riding on scooters and popping wheelies. That's a regular everyday.
Hitting the ground behind them if they on the four-wheelers.
As an avid fan of roller coasters, I've never been in a car that does this, so I feel like I need to do it to see if I like, because it feels like it would just be like a fun ride almost, but like, if I'm just driving to work, I don't want to be on a fun ride.
No, you're not just going to do it casually.
They would do it if they're having fun, or at a car show, like they have car shows and stuff like that.
Or like riding with your top off. Maybe you just want to show off because down the neighborhoods and why your car can be fun stuff. I don't know about y'all. Like, I like stuff like that.
So do we think that every time we're seeing this in real life, like, people are actually fucking their cars? Is that what's happening?
Okay.
Are people fucking their cars in real life?
No, that's just Alexia, I think. Wait, huh?
I gotta guess it. I don't know. I'm gonna choose yes.
I think it's basically, maybe it's a quote I was saying, these people love their cars so much by doing this kind of shit, by doing these modifications to it, that they might as well be fucking the car.
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes, because there are people that exist on this earth. So I feel like, in addition to fucking in the car, somebody is getting in. They doing it with the car.
That's true. Are you telling me no person has ever sat on a gear shift of a car and fucked it?
Oh, 100%.
We're here. Here we go.
People probably fucked other things that sound way more egregious.
The tailpipe.
Yeah,
Somebody did it.
Yeah,
OnlyFans.
No, guarantee. And you know, there was that one film that made a splash on the film festival circuit a couple of years ago. The girl who fell in love with the Ferris wheel. Like, people fall in love with inanimate objects all the time. Not all the time. Some people.
Objectophilia. Yeah, there's a name for that. It's objectophilia, which is basically objectum sexuality, a sexual orientation that involves experiencing romantic, emotional, and or sexual feelings towards inanimate objects.
There we go. Because, I mean, her relationship with this car is healthier than any relationship she will have until she meets her surrogate father.
Yeah.
I think the relationship with the car is still healthier because the things I see them do, there's so many red flags.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to it, I'm like, I want to talk about the son in general because the father is terrifying. He is scaring the hoes. He's scaring the bitches. I'm the bitches. Okay? Help.
Wait, how do you distinguish between a bitch and a hoe?
Oh no, I just say hoes and bitches. I'm not distinguishing between the two. Okay. I just, No,
you said I'm a hoe. Oh, yeah, you said I'm a bitch. So, like, what makes you not a hoe?
I just decided I was the hose today. That's it. That was the only choice. Yeah. Sometimes I say they stand hoes and I'm the hose. Sometimes I say that. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, I'm going to move us along.
Yeah.
I don't know where this is going anymore.
I'm a hoe.
Okay. Why does it not sound the same when you say it, Trace? So she wakes up in the morning, and we can see that this was a bit of a rough ride because she has bruising all around her thighs, as well as her, her no-no parts. So she also has stomach aches. We'll come back to that in a moment. This is when we get the silent breakfast with Dad, but we do see two important news stories on the TV. So one is the closing of a case of a missing Parisian boy, Adrien Legrand, as well as the looming serial killer that has not been caught. So, okay. Obviously, we keep both of those in the back of our mind. And then because she's having these stomach pains, her father doctor checks out her abdomen, and it is the start of ick.
Yes. Also, I guess these news reports are supposed to be able to clue us in, where it's like, hey, y'all, she's that serial killer they're talking about. But again, I guess we don't know that yet.
I totally missed it the first watch. Totally missed it.
Yeah, I didn't know that they suspected anything. That dad has been on her case. He's like, because there's going to be other scenes where he's like, I see your ass. You think, because I know my child. That's what a parent, I know you. And this is sounding very familiar.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, but like, they immediately, like, when we do recognize that, okay, connecting 1 and 2, serial killer, how many people did you kill that we did not see?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, because it says it's a recent wave of killings, but I was like, I don't think she just started killing things.
She's too good at it.
Yeah, I feel like she's been doing this for a while.
Yeah, because we kind of jumped over it, but after she kills this dude in the car, we do see her put the body into the backseat, and then we don't see anything more of it, but clearly she knows how to either dispose of it or do it in such a way that she isn't immediately being caught.
Crazy.
So she knows what she's doing. So we cut from this to Alexia and Justine making out quite aggressively, and I don't think it's a coincidence that we go from her dad examining her to a sexual makeout. So the sexuality is fluid, and everybody's kind of involved in this, but I do mean aggressively, because Alexia, this to me is way worse than the hair in the nipple ring.
Because you see it. You see... Do y'all think this is really this actress's nipple that's getting stretched like this? Or do you think they use like a prosthetic nipple for this? Because this looks... I don't know. And again, it sounds like a rubber band being stretched. It's like what it sounds like.
I mean, the skin can be real elastic, and please don't ask me how I know. I'm hoping, because I don't think you paid enough. There's no way you paid me enough to stretch my nipple out like that, because it hurts. That hurts. Yeah. It hurts looking at it.
Like nibbling, pulling, that is sexual foreplay. This is, I have ambitions to bite off your fucking tit.
This was triggering.
Yeah, this is wild.
Okay. This was very triggering. I know y'all like cat, and I'm like, listen.
No, it is. It is. It's so uncomfortable.
But that's what I'm saying though. It's like, so like, again, like I could see someone like getting ill at this because but it's not like, if someone passed out at this scene, which I would believe because I almost did, it's going to give people the wrong idea because this is not the type of thing that you would think people would, faint over or whatever.
It's not Terrifier 2.
No.
But it is abject. It's giving us that impact.
I'm back, y'all. It's just, you're right. It's not Terrifier 2, but I'm with you, Trace. Like, rewatching it this morning, because I've seen this movie a trillion times. And I'm just like, oh my God, why do I, while this scene is on, I'm like, why am I watching this again? Like,
why do I do it?
What am I doing this to myself? When I see people, when people's, skin gets peeled off, or when they have nails and the nails come up, stuff that especially things that I've experienced, it's like I'm reliving that moment. Y'all know how I feel about feeling immersed in a film. So like you were saying, the sounds do it for you. I'm looking down. I'm like, damn, did my own nipples get ripped off? Once again, the experience of hitting the wall, and your nipple ring snags a wall. And I know someone's like, girl, how does that happen? But the one up, we're all looking at each other. Yeah, we're looking. So when you're sitting up here and it's a sexy moment, think about, people getting sexy with you. Okay, we sucking on the nips, cool. Baby, you're sucking a little too hard. There's stuff in there. So when I'm seeing this, I want to instantly throw up. I feel like I'm this character. And I'm like, and we just saw somebody throw up. They got stabbed in the ear not too long ago. And I'm just like, oh my God, this deadly assassin. At least we can suck on nipples the right way and not make everyone feel like they're about to die. Because bitch, what is this? I know y'all are triggered, because I am. I'm still grabbing my chest right now.
I'm also triggered because this is assault. She said fucking no. She's like, no. And you're still doing this. That's, hey guys, we're across the line. This is not sexy no more. Please cut the cameras.
Well, and the only time it stops is when Justine finally screams. And I remember the first time I saw this because Alexia stalks off and she looks mad and maybe a little bit hurt. And you think, oh, okay, she just didn't mean to do it. And she even pukes. It never even occurred to me. The only reason she reacts this way is because she is in the beginning stages of her pregnancy. Yeah. And, sure, we're going to get a positive pregnancy test in a moment, but it still had not fucking dawned on me that she doesn't give a shit about when she causes other people pain. That's not what she's reacting to in this moment.
No, because, and that's, again, when we get to this next scene where she kills Justine, it threw me for a loop because I kept trying to make sense of why Alexia was doing all of this. But I guess at the end of the day, it's just she just kind of kills, but it doesn't ever feel premeditated. She just kills when
There's no reason.
Feels like killing.
Yeah. So before she heads back to Justine's house, she does note that her belly seems to have gotten a little bit bigger. And when she checks the state of her down there's, we do pull back a finger full of motor oil. So we take a pregnancy test. It comes back. She's very frustrated. She tries to abort. I meant to say we should do a content warning for self-harm because she really fucking takes it out on her own body. But she does try to abort using this fucking hairpin.
Now, for our vagina having guests, how did this scene make you feel?
Oh my God. It's because you don't see anything, but you see the intensity of which she screams. You hear the squelching. And I have never been pregnant, but also I could not imagine putting something sharp inside my coochie. Oh my God, please.
First of all, I'm still stuck on bitch. We pregnant?
Yes. Well, but that's why I thought she's been in a relationship because I guess yes, sure. In the rules of the film, whatever they are, it's just an expedited pregnancy because I guess when you get fucked by a car, it just happens really fast. I just figured she got pregnant from a previous time. I don't know.
So weird. You've constructed this entire narrative in your head.
Well, because Ducournau said, connect the dots yourself.
Sure. You can get pregnant from one-time sexual encounter, Trace.
Well, yeah, but I know, but you wouldn't get... It doesn't matter. Continue your thought.
I am weak because I'm just picturing Trace in front of the whiteboard this is what's happening! And we're all like, who's this?
It's that Charlie It's Always Sunny gif where he's like, what?
Red string theory. How did she get pregnant? When did it happen?
No, but really... How alive is this car? Because we've seen Christine. So, you can do that? That's the first step. And then you blink and trigger warning, she's giving herself, she's trying to abort the fetus. And I'm like, we're doing some s'more shits? It's like, this movie literally gives you no time to catch your breath.
No.
Like there are some times, but like on certain points, it's like boom, boom, boom. We did this. And you're just like, you're pregnant?
Yeah.
Also, I wonder if could think like maybe it might not have been her first time, because that was her first thought to like, let me do this immediately like this. And I know that she probably couldn't have gone to the hospital, because at this point we had the Little House of Murder scene pretty much. So I don't know if she would have been able to get to the hospital in time, but I'm like, wow, you just said, yep, I'm going to do this just like this right now. That was the first. She ain't like, it's not like she looked it up and said, oh, how to. She said, yeah, no, these are the steps I'm taking immediately. I was like, oh, have you done this before? I'm scared. This is unsafe.
I think last time she just went to the mechanic and got it dealt with.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my God.
Rude,
oh my God.
Offensive.
but I'm glad I think, Kat, you mentioned the squelching, because the sounds of this thing, like as she tries to do this, I crossed my legs when I was watching this. I was just like, nope.
Stop, girl. What are you doing? No.
It's just and then like once again, you see more black liquid, and I'm like, okay, so at what point did you actually, your blood is not blood anymore? Like at what point did we become essentially motor oil? What is going? I am so grossed out, interested, but also creeped out at the same time. Like my brain's like ping ponging back and forth, because like, when you're going to the gyno, for those of us who have vaginas, you get those duck lips in there, and they usually have like a little stick that goes up there, to test for your cervix and make sure you don't have the cancer. And so, or any other abnormalities that are happening, telling everybody what happens at the gyno. Let's get it.
We appreciate it. Do it.
Yeah. But like having a long, skinny extendo Q-tip, like a little, like you don't put it in your ear, go in and rub it in. That's one thing. Ooh, and you can feel that. What do you mean you in here stabbing yourself with the hair stuff?
Folks, if you haven't seen the film, it's as long as a chopstick. Imagine impaling yourself repeatedly with a chopstick in your hoo-ha.
It looks like a metal chopstick. That's all. That's exactly what it is.
It's longer than a chopstick. I'm like, hey, because I be eating with chopsticks. Nah, bro, that's longer than a chopstick. I'm saying.
But on some real shit, like, I know there are people who have done this. Like, I know this is a deeper and longer conversation about, like, people who are giving / receiving unsafe abortion, back alley abortion.
Well, it's like the wire hanger stuff. I mean, that was what people did back in the 60s when abortion wasn't legal.
And will continue to do, because it's not legal in many places.
Yeah, that's right. It's not legal in some states now. That's a fan-fucking-tastic, America.
I found out apparently it's illegal in the Dominican Republic. I was yesterday years old. And I'm like, hello?
Yeah.
Oh.
I hate it.
I'm tired. Yeah, but this movie's wild.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher, a new comedy from executive producers of What We Do in the Shadows and Baskets. English Teacher follows Evan, a teacher in Austin, Texas, who learns if it's really possible to be your full self at your job while often finding himself at the intersection of the personal, professional, and political aspects of working at a high school. FX's English Teacher premieres September 2nd on FX. Stream on Hulu.
Okay, so let's move on from the abortion to the next round of murders, because once again, as you suggested, Kat, we're ping-ponging. So she comes out of the bathroom and we go back to making out. So apparently, even though Justine had this traumatic nipple incident ×2 with this woman, we are willing to make out on the couch. All I can say is the sexual magnetism of Alexia must be off the charts. But we barely get into this, and then we are just stabbing this girl in the face with the hairpin.
Ooh, like right through the cheek.
Yeah, right through the cheek, and then we cut back so that it is more of like a medium long shot, and we don't see it, but we can understand or infer that we are stabbing her multiple times in the head. And then begins arguably the most darkly funny sequence in this film, as we just have roommate upon girlfriend who stumbles into the action and all have to be dispatched.
Yes, and we have 60s Italian pop music is what my subtitle said we were listening to during this.
Oh, okay.
This is also a big scene where Ducournau was like, this is where I will get the audience to relate to this serial killer character. And it's not necessarily through her killing, but it's through her frustration when the third roommate comes out. And she's like, how many of you are here?
Yes. So good. And we should note that the violence is also really good. Like we talked about the kind of sexualized nature of it thus far, but when she has to kill that one roommate with the footstool, and then she sits on the footstool after the deed has been done.
To take a break.
Yeah. It's just, this is where the film was really working for me on a first watch. And I was like, if the rest of it is like this, I am in for a fucking ride.
And see, my American ass was like, why is she doing this? Why is she killing these people?
Oh my God, you're so boring. Just go with it, for Christ's sake.
Okay. I will swallow that. I will take that.
That is a me response, sir. And I don't know why I'm hearing
I
it
was
from
going to say,
you.
that is very much a you response.
Okay, yeah. So we've got this great sequence. You know, she does have to kill a bunch of people. The only reason she stops is because the one topless girl bangs her head against the wall. And we default assume, oh, the metal plate has come into action. So again, you could argue, oh, okay, well, what happens next is because of this traumatic head injury. I don't buy into that, but you could make the argument.
I also heard the other girl, when she hit her head on the wall, I assume she got away enough to tell them, because there was a full description. At first, the news stories had, okay, there's all these bodies. Now it's like, no, baby, they got you not in 4K, but they doodled your face in a sketch, and it looked just like your ass.
100% does.
Face, so.
Because she normally would have been good at getting this covered up. She knew she had to kill all of them. Which is, again, because this is not her first rodeo.
No.
Right.
But this just happens to be the first time she fucks up. And because why do we think, if we want to offer reasons, why do we think she goes on this killing spree? Because to me, it's just, oh, she's really pissed off that she's pregnant, so she needs to get some rage out.
I mean, she was on a killing spree before they cut the camera on. So I just really feel like she just turned it up because she just, I don't want to say erratic, but that's one of the words that's flying around my head. We've hit our head a couple times. We're flying off the seat of our ass. Also, they were roommates. I thought this was a sex party.
It could be.
Well, it could have been.
They all came out with no
I think it is.
on.
No, it's 100%. Because when she says to Juju, she's like, how many of you are here? He's like, well, it's me and this other person. Are more people coming? Like, it sounded like he was like, oh yeah, more people for the orgy.
Ooh.
Also, I'm going to clarify, that's Jerome. She says that to Juju is Justine.
Oh, I thought he said his nickname was Juju. Okay, gotcha.
He has like ooh names for every person in the house, which is like another part of the joke. Yeah, the way that I read this is that every time she engages sexually with people, because we see her kissing the fan and then she kills him, and then she's kissing Justine and she kills her, and then she has to keep killing to cover up the murder because she can't leave any witnesses.
I feel like all of her relationships were humans. Like, she just does not value humans at all.
No.
Anyway. So she's just like, I mean, you're in my way, honestly. It's honestly best to be a stranger to her. That's the safest you can be, is to be a stranger and out of her way. Because getting close, I don't know what triggers her when people start to get a little close to her. But it's not positive, because she definitely lashes out. And she really is going to send you to the upper room.
So you're absolutely right, Jazz, because even when she goes home, so she has to get rid of what evidence she can control. So she burns her clothes in the garage, and then she just watches as the fire gets out of control. But she does make sure to go upstairs, check on her father, who gives her this kind of what's going on look. And then she locks him and her mom in the bedroom and then just walks away from this funeral pyre.
Listen,
Wild.
First of all, like 2 watches ago was the first time I noticed that the dad saw her ass coming in.
Yep.
He was out there in the window smoking a cigarette, and that's how I knew. He was like, I caught your ass again.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, what movie is that? Where it's Pearl, where the mom is like, I know what the fuck you be doing, and that's why you can't leave this motherfucking farm. And this is why he know what she be doing. He don't really say nothing, but he's always watching her. And that's why when she went to lock that door, I felt like, oh, here it comes. He knew it was coming. He's like, here it goes. Although I felt like that window was open, baby. You could have just jumped out the window. But
that was my thoughts too.
I also love that we're not talking about the costume here, because she's wearing a shirt that says "Never Give Up" for this entire like murder and post-murder sequence.
It's so fucking ironic, and I love it. Like, the movie is actively challenging us to find empathy or relate to this character, but then it also feels like this is Ducournau mocking us.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she hitchhikes, and she ends up either at a train or a bus station, basically somewhere public. She's gone downtown, out of the suburbs, and she's noticing that there is a very heavy police presence. Because yes, we have a sketch. We know that the serial killer is on the loose, so she tries to lay low, and she ends up ducking down in front of a sort of changing missing poster of various people, and this is where Adrienne Legrand comes back in play. So she notices that the sketch of what this boy would look like in the present bears a bit of a resemblance to her. So cut to the bathroom. We cut off all of our hair, shave our eyebrows, break our own nose to get a closer approximation, and also bind our breasts and burgeoning belly bump with ace bandages.
Okay. Let's talk about it, y'all.
Here we go.
Because it starts here, and then we already know, because the movie's already been on a journey, it's gonna go up.
Mm-hmm.
I understand binding your chest. Normal thing. Binding the baby. Hello? The baby is in peril. What the fuck is going... I just don't understand. And then at one point, the baby bump is bigger, and she's literally like taking these bandages. I'm like, that's not... how that's good. Can you put the oversized sweater on like everybody else who just be hiding their pregnancy? Like, you already cut the punch in your stomach. You got to stop.
Well, I guess too, because at this point we pretty much know it's like a car baby inside of her. And so, and again, this is where the Foley work really comes in, because the stretching sounds of these bandages and with her grunts and groans as she's doing this. And let me be clear, her titties aren't that small. So, like, it's not just like she can just, like, flatten down. Like, it looks painful. But I just kept thinking about how she's squeezing a metal baby, like, further into her body and, like, fucking it up more.
Yeah. So I think that this is maybe also the opportunity to begin addressing the transness of this film. So I'm going to pull in Kaya Shunyada's piece, How Titane Captures the Messy Brutality of Transition. And I'm going to note that Shunyada identifies as trans, and one other person that I'm going to quote also identifies as trans. So I wanted to specifically seek out a couple of different voices. So Shunyada says, as the film progresses, it becomes clear that to unlock the version of herself she wants to be, Alexia must fully don the guise of masculinity she was teasing in her life before Adrienne. Alexia reconstructs herself to become someone else. She transitions. And as much as the media and pop culture likes to focus on trans joy, I would quibble with that, by the way. Back to Shunyada. The process of transformation isn't always pretty. For Alexia to reach the ultimate state of gender euphoria, even though the film never names it as such, she must destroy her body and completely make herself anew. Adrienne the vessel that she will inhabit, and the good son, the performance she must play in order to maintain that existence.
I mean, she kind of plays that part. She doesn't really scream good son to me at all, ever.
I mean, I think it's more the idea that you go with it. Like, I think she knew what she was getting into, but anticipated escaping at first opportunity, as we will see repeatedly. I'm also going to bring Geffen back in for this piece. So they say, throughout Titane, Ducournau invokes tropes of trans storytelling only to eventually expose them as such, i.e. tropes. The haircut, the binding, and even the brutalized flesh hew to a stereotypical image of a trans masculine character, someone who by trauma and circumstance has come into alignment with something felt deeply inside. And I guess I thought that these pieces were interesting because I've only ever seen casually people discuss this as a bit of like a trans allegory, because we, of course, don't actually know how Alexia herself identifies, to the point where I think the four of us need to have a conversation of how we're going to address the character's pronouns as we move ahead in the narrative.
I would personally still use she, her, if only because, I don't think this character identifies as trans or male. There's no indication otherwise outside of the fact that she is in this disguise to escape prison.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm open to other interpretations, Jazz and Kat.
I would use they. I just, in life, I default to, it's everybody. It's all in me. So I default to they for everyone because we don't know their pronouns.
Right.
And also they're clearly transitioning.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm gonna use they.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess the other interesting thing is I defaulted to trans when non-binary is also right there.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe she wants to be a car.
Listen.
It's possible.
Maybe. Yeah, the relationship is open and interspecies.
Sorry, that sounds like a joke. Some alt-right person would be like, oh, trans, they, them, what's next? They want to be a car. But I was being very sincere in that statement.
Well, she's actually titanium, actually. Her womb is made of metal in this case. It's very specific.
I mean, we see she's bleeding motor oil. We see her lactate motor oil.
Oh, yep, we do.
It's great.
Yeah. When her water breaks...
It's that close-up shot of her squeezing her boob until motor oil comes out. I just,
yeah.
Someone was turned on. It wasn't me, though.
No, absolutely.
Okay, so let's introduce the other main character that we have not met yet. So we don't know his name, but eventually this will be revealed to be Vincent, or Vincent for French people. And he is played by French legend Vincent Lindon. And he has been called to the police station to identify his son. So let the ruse begin. So we hold on the silent moment of Vincent looking through the window, and you can tell that Alexia is like, I'm not going to look because I want to appear inconspicuous. I'm not going to do anything that's going to give this away. But you can tell that she doesn't have a ton of confidence. Like, she doesn't know if this is going to work. And it's a great sequence because so much of this film from this moment on is a silent performance.
I can't believe this works. I when I watched this, I was like, they're gonna pull up to the office and they were like, "That's not my baby," because again, parents be doing their kids. So I assumed she was gonna go to jail and we were gonna have to watch some kind of ruse of her escaping the. I thought she was gonna have to kill her way out of the train station.
But it's just a thing where it's like it just shows how desperate this father is to find his son again. That like he will. I mean, he doesn't even want to get a DNA test. It's like, nope, this is my son, because it's easier to say that and like quote unquote fix all the issues you've had over the past 10 years since your son went missing than face the actual truth. Because I can only imagine that getting your hope up, saying, hey, someone is here claiming to be your son, and then like getting your hopes up and being so excited, and then having that, it's like having your son get ripped away again. So this actually feels very authentic for this type of character.
Okay. Although he is a character.
Oh, but look at something like Orphan, you know? Or I guess in this case, Orphan First Kill.
I mean, that's the more obvious genre way to take it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, now that you brought that up, I'm like, did you have something to do?
Well, but looking at the husband in that movie, you know, the husband didn't have anything to do with her disappearance. He was so ready to believe, oh yeah, this is my daughter.
Yeah, because as we go later, the wife was not. Go ahead, Kat.
No, because I was sighing. I was just like, oh, I'm with y'all. But like you said, as we learn later, they're like, girl, this is not who this is. I think he was just very desperate to feel that void in his life. And I feel that.
I would love to, whenever y'all think he realizes it's not his son.
I think he knows right now.
Oh, you think he knows?
Yep.
Okay, interesting.
But here's the thing. The first time you watch this, you think, okay, he does believe this. And you keep waiting. Like, so much of the tension in this film on a first-time watch is anticipating he's going to discover her unclothed and he's going to make this realization. But once we switch into Adrian mode, you realize, okay, no, he was willing to forgive anything that they do because he has decided in this moment, Vincent has decided, I fully believe that that is my son because that is what I need in order to move forward. I can't go back now that I've got the opportunity to potentially get back with my son.
Yeah.
That conversation, not to jump too far ahead, but that conversation does come up because one of the folks at the fire station tries to like warn them once they figure out what's really going on. And he makes it very clear, we're not talking about my son.
Yeah.
No.
That's it.
Let me live this delusion in peace.
Yes, exactly
I feel that.
Okay, so in the car, Adrian is startled by the walkie-talkie because, of course, they've made this decision to go undercover or in disguise, but they don't know anything about who they're signing up to pretend to be the son of, right? So the walkie-talkie is the first notion that, oh, this person is maybe in law enforcement. We will come to learn that Vincent is the captain of a fire station. But it's a fun moment, and it immediately cues Adrian, to try to escape from the car. So first by opening the door and then escaping when we park at a gas station. But Vincent puts a stop to this by immediately pulling them into a hug and being like, no, you're not going anywhere.
Which I was like, they were running like a track star. They got out that car and was like, all right, if I run fast enough, because they're going to immediately say that, hey, my son went missing again. Oh, you really don't have I don't know where they thought they were going to go on foot with a broken nose. They're going to beat themselves up. And also, that made me a little bit weary of Vincent, like, the first time. Because I'm like, all right, you're chasing after them. They're not really acting. I don't know how your son acted, right? And at that point, you know, we don't know that. He clearly knows that that's not his son. So I'm just like, they're acting weird.
Yeah. They're trying to escape.
Yeah. And also, I'm like, what did you do to them?
Oh.
You did something to them because y'all relationship is weird. That's why when we got to get to that dinner and the dinner turned into the fight club, I was very concerned because they was dancing and fighting and I don't know what's happening and I don't think this is normal.
Is it weird or is it French?
I think it could be both.
I don't know. I don't know if the average French father and child are like punching each other at the dinner table because you refusing to talk to them. So I don't know. I am concerned, although this situation doesn't seem like an average Tuesday. This seems very,
It's a very singular situation.
Yes.
But this is also like the whole rest of the film is all gender performativity. I mean, you could argue it already has been, but especially the way that Vincent reacts to Adrian. He wants them to be masculine. He wants them to fit in with the other boys. And it's funny because he's willing to forgive them their trespasses when they don't adhere to gender conventions, but then also he becomes embarrassed and he wants to fight them. He wants them to fight like a man.
Yeah. Yep. And I was like, ooh, not fight like that. I'm checking my weapon.
But also in this moment at the gas station, when they try to run away, he does say that he will kill anyone who hurts them, including himself. So it's like, this man is singular in his devotion to his child.
Yeah, Adrian's like, pretty good deal. All right, I guess I'll stay here.
For now, at least.
Yeah.
Okay, so we arrive at the fire station. This is where we're introduced to the hottie of the movie. This is Rayane, who is played by Leigh Salame, and he introduces himself, and then we learn that Vincent is the captain of this crew. So, Alexia / Adrian seeks refuge in their room, and they remove the tape, touch the breasts, the belly is itchy, so the pregnancy is definitely developing. We have body sensitivity. And then, yes, this is where the fighting begins among child and father because he wants to take their clothes. But of course, we got to keep this ruse up. We can't appear to have breasts and a pregnant belly. But eventually we come to a détente. So Vincent turns his back and Adrian / Alexia gives them the clothes. And then we move into some interesting pieces. So we see as Vincent goes to his bathroom, which is pink. And it has incredibly bisexual lighting. And then he injects his naked ass with something. I default to steroids. Other people read this as testosterone. But he goes out then and poses and tries to do pull-ups rather unsuccessfully.
Yeah, I immediately thought it was not testosterone, because I forget that people can inject that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot about that.
I thought it was like diabetes medicine. I thought it was insulin.
When he started flexing,
Yeah.
Because I don't know what testosterone does. It make your muscles bulk up? Like, I don't know what I don't work out that hard, okay, guys? All I do is pick up heavy stuff and put it down sometimes, and I haven't done that in a while. So I barely have the protein shakes. But also, you make it interesting because some people do actually use testosterone.
Sure.
But I wouldn't expect it from his character until I saw him lifting the weights, and I was like, oh no, maybe he feels like he's aging.
Yeah.
And, that masculinity has something to do with being strong and being like, so he feels like he's losing a grip on that. So he's like, oh no, I have to, especially being the captain of because they're in shape. They have to do a lot of that's a very physical job. Yeah. So I wonder if he has to feel like he has to live up to like a certain standard. And that's why he's like constantly injecting himself. I was like, I'm a little concerned because he's not looking well.
Well, he does look his age. We should note that, Landau is not a young man. That's why I said he's famous, because he's been working in the French film industry forever. Like, he's got tons of accolades and everything. But yeah, I mean, I think everything you just said, Jazz, where we're going to see the men he's working with, and they all look like they're about 20. They're jacked. Yeah. They're super fucking fit. And he is aging. He's not flabby. Like, he's actually in really, really good shape.
Yeah,
he looks
he's in
hot.
better shape than me. He's better shape than me, but also you can see the bruising. You can see how his veins are like, his eyes are bloodshot. Like, he doesn't look well. He looks like, he's going through something. Like, the skin or muscles, that's gonna change as you age anyway.
Sure.
But I'm like, no, something's going on, because his eyes look like the same color as, like, they look pink. I'm like, we should call someone. Maybe, like, you should call the other fired people, and they need to go ahead and check your blood pressure and stuff, because I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to bring Geffen back in. They say Vincent injects a masculinizing chemical, maybe testosterone, maybe steroids, it's never made clear, into his ass in an attempt to compensate for his body's decline into middle age. Here again, Ducournau envisions gender as a series of rituals and incantations meant to coax embodiment into its socially determined shape. So he's chasing an ideal that is socially driven. And yes, we talked about his profession as well. But now I'm going to throw a curveball into the mix. So I'm going to introduce a different perspective. This is from someone called Mrs. Capricious. And they write, Titane, is it transphobic? And this is a Medium piece. So, Mrs. Capricious says, my trans fiancé and I already had our hackles rise with the idea that a serial killer was posing as the opposite gender to avoid capture, an accusation we constantly hear as trans women. Then we saw the father of the missing boy, an aging macho man with a heavily bruised ass cheek, being stabbed again with a testosterone shot. Uh-oh. So we had a perversion of the transmasculine experience, weaponizing the idea of those acting as the other gender being dangerous and deceptive, and then we see a cis man mimicking the ritual that brings relief to so many trans men. It stung.
Okay, I like that read a lot, actually. I didn't even think about it in those terms.
And I'm like, ooh, I mean, they're not wrong.
No.
So I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah, I read this and my initial reaction was one of rebellion. I was like, no, that's not what we're doing. I don't think that this film is transphobic. By the way, Mrs. Capricious literally ends the Medium piece with being like, this movie is fucking transphobic. And it wasn't until I got to that line and said, well, who the fuck am I to say that it's not when this trans person says it is? And the article makes a good piece for that. So I wanted to include it here because it did force me to combat what I wanted to have a particular reading of this film because it's made by a woman, and I do think it's controversial and provocative and so on, but I do think that it's somewhat easy to read as both provocative but also transphobic, and I think it could be conceived as harmful.
That's really interesting. And I mean, not to be like, well, I know a lot of trans friends that really like this movie, but I mean, like, obviously everyone can have a different opinion, but I just find it fascinating how people in the same, social segments or queer segments, I guess, can disagree so vehemently about, although I guess we see it all the time with gay cinema, right? Like
all the time.
Because every movie involving queerness has to get it just right, but what is just right? It's different for every person.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to include two different trans readings of this, because one person could say, oh, I had a really negative polarizing reaction to it, whereas somebody else could say, like, the other critic I'm bringing in says, oh, I felt myself seen on screen for the very first time with this. So both can be true and real.
Yeah. And I think Ducournau would welcome all of that. Like, she seems to want people to interpret it however they like.
Truly that. Yeah. I mean, I don't think she would love being called transphobic, because who does? But
no, but I don't think she would shut down the accusation.
No, she seems very open-minded to different readings. So in the morning, Adrian and Alexia retapes themselves, and then Vincent gives them a metal splint for the broken nose, and then we shave the head even further. So the androgyny elements are coming even further into the foreground. So unfortunately, Vincent does clip the scar, so we end up settling for a hat to cover some of the damage initially. And then this is when Adrian, Alexia makes their debut in the firehouse. And it doesn't go over super, super well. Like, nobody says anything to their face, but we do have this kind of Russian-y tall motherfucker making snide remarks. So Vincent shuts it down. He tells his crew he is God, and that makes Adrian Jesus.
White gay Jesus.
See,
White and gay Jesus.
I would have been real mad because not you bringing the Nepo baby up in here. And they like, and also, this is not the kind of job where we can have a Nepo baby. We are trying to save people's lives. So when we see the later scene, they don't know what they're doing. So you shouldn't have them. They should be in the car, or stay. Like, you should have brought some, because they could have brought somebody else. You made them go. You forced this on them, although that was not who they were. And I wonder if that has some kind of tie to the identity that's being forced on them. Like, I need you to perform these tasks this way.
Quite literally, I need you to perform in all capacities. Yeah, okay, so we do cut to a scene of the firemen when they're in their suits with the oxygen tanks, and initially we think this is a live event, but it turns out to be a simulation. But we do see Vincent imagining a burnt body in a cupboard, and he freezes in panic. So, Jazz, I think this is a further testament that maybe something else was going on with Vincent and Adrian before Adrian went missing. The real one.
I don't know. Can't trust Vincent.
So at dinner, Vincent demands to know if Alexia Adrian will ever speak, because they have not said a fucking peep this whole time. And then he catches sight of the lactation stains on their t-shirt, which they try to cover up. So they go to flee. He ends up grabbing them, and then we lure Adrian Alexia back with a montage of dancing to She's Not There by the Zombies. So this is another great needle draw. But it quickly goes from dancing to fighting. And Alexia Adrian tries to stab Vincent with the chopsticks hair pick. And this is when he says that they need to fight like a man. He also asks why they keep trying to flee when they're already home. Again, I think this is a suggestion that something else was going on, but he ultimately gives them the keys. So if they want to leave, they can. And he clearly isn't taking this well, because when we see him, he's back in the bathroom mixing pills with wine. He ends up injecting himself twice this evening. So that is a double dose of whatever. And it gives him some kind of, I think in the Wikipedia notes, they say it's like cardiac arrest or some kind of arrhythmia or something like that.
Oh, it's arrhythmia. That's what it is.
Okay. So meanwhile, Alexia Adrian has gotten on a bus, and I think it would be easy to read this film through a specifically feminist point of view, where Alexia is trying to shake off all of the bullshit that comes with being a woman. So we saw it with the fan and the murder in the car. And then we've got this harangued black woman who is being sexually harassed by a group of drunken asshole frat boys on the bus.
The worst.
And you can literally see the pain in her eyes because she's looking at Alexia, and Alexia is looking at her like,
we both know what this is.
I don't know what you want me to do, but I'm scared too.
Yes.
We're all scared.
Well, so do you think this is what makes Alexia decide to go back to Vincent?
I feel like that's a factor, definitely, because maybe they thought they were going to be safe away from Vincent, because that situation that just happened was unsafe. Like, truly, they were like, no, let me go on the bus. I'm safer outside. And they were like, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe let go back.
But they can pretend. Like, they can take all these boys if they really wanted to.
I mean, maybe not all at once.
Yeah, and they're already on thin ice. The police are already looking for them. They probably don't want no trouble.
Oh, that is true. Yeah.
Well, and let's not forget, they're pregnant, right? Like, the body is reacting in unexpected, unorthodox ways.
That's a metal baby in their stomach. It'll be fine.
Jesus. Okay, but yes, Alexia Adrian does end up getting off the bus and returning back to the fire station, and they go to check on Vincent, and initially it looks like they may stab him, but ultimately they end up deciding for the first time that they will speak as Adrian.
Well, and this is also a really good moment from Rousseau. I mean, because again, like she doesn't have a ton of dialogue, so she has to make the most out of everything she says. But it's the non-spoken moment in this scene where like you see them trying, like wanting to kill Vincent, but then like physically restraining themselves like with an invisible force. And we spent so much time on this as they are like, oh, I'm gonna kill this. Wait, no, I'm not gonna. I just found this one of the more fascinating like character moments for Alexia / Adrian.
Yeah, I wonder, did the two of you start to consider them more human? Like, is this a humanizing moment for the character?
Yeah. But also, I think this low-key, high-key is one of many humanizing moments. Like, it's very easy to forget, or, I mean, I guess, that these are still regular beings going through stuff. I mean, yes, one person is clearly a serial killer who's on the run, on the lam, right. And another person is clearly, like, mourning the loss of their child, and they've kind of, like, kidnapped, not kidnapped, Stockholm Syndrome, not really 100% sure.
Yep.
Replace their child with a person they just randomly met. Like, it's a story, it's a choice, but also like it's a very interesting moment. Like we're watching one person like deciding to care for this other. This is where a lot of things switch. This is where we're like, okay, well, I guess we're in it together? Question mark.
Well, because it's also like Alexia has never had a father relationship like this before.
No.
This is completely foreign to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought they were looking for that earlier in the beginning of the movie because they were talking to their father and he didn't want nothing to do with them. Yeah. Especially like the kitchen scene or the car scene where we first are introduced to their relationship, where I think that Alexia always wanted like some kind of love or some kind of connection and did not get that. And then every time they experience connection, they have like this visceral reaction to it. So maybe this is one of the first times they decided, maybe let me react a different way. Maybe let me not stab this father figure.
For the first time, let me not stab.
But at the same time, though, I feel like it's not simple enough to be like, oh, like daddy issues. Because I feel like, again, that's something that Ducournau would like reject. But like, no, it's not something that's simple.
But it does feel like for the first time love, which I know feels just as similarly kind of simplistic and maybe even a little pedantic. But you truly do get the impression that, yeah, as you said, Kat, the two of them are now in it together, and it feels like the start of something new that maybe neither of them have ever had before.
But ultimately, we're looking to feel like we're a part of something. We're looking for healing and longing for connections that we've once had or never experienced.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a breaking point, perhaps. The next morning, Alexia Adrian tries on a yellow sundress. And I never really understood the point of this moment, except to once again put Vincent in a position of, how are you going to react? Are you going to continue the facade, or are you going to call this person out who is clearly not your son? But I do think that that's not giving this moment enough credit.
No. This moment is fueling his delusion because he pulls up a photo of actual Adrian as a boy wearing the exact same dress. So it's something that he links being like, oh, like, yeah, of course you're my son because you went to this exact same dress to put it on. Which also, I mean, not to say that like a little boy who's like putting on a dress is going to grow up to be queer, but there's like queer undertones to that where it's like, okay, adding some more of those layers to this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this kind of fuels a little bit more of what you were thinking with maybe some of the backstory jazz. Like, I do think we can fairly easily fill in some missing pieces to say, one of the reasons that Vincent is so open-minded and, you know, why he's got a pink bathroom and bisexual lighting and we're open to having dance parties with the firemen is because maybe he came down hard on his queer child.
Yeah.
And he's trying to make up for it by being incredibly open and accepting now.
Mm-hmm.
That is a huge step. It could be made as an argument, but also the film doesn't give us all of that.
No, we just know the relationship is somewhat strained. Where they was like, okay, well, it could, like when we talked about when the father was, Vincent was like, how can anybody hurt you, even me? I'm like, well, what did you do?
Yeah.
Why you say that?
What did you do? Okay, so then we go on a call, yeah. So even though Adrian Alexia is not a trained fire person, we bring them out and we're at the scene with a mother whose son has OD'd, and then the mother faints. So we're in the middle of trying to do all these different procedures, and we need to bring Adrian Alexia into the mix. So this is where Vincent uses the Macarena to teach Alexia Adrian CPR. And it's a moment of comedic reprieve. The film doesn't overplay it. I don't think it's laugh out loud hilarious, but it is a quirky little moment. And it made me realize how little comedy there has been since the roommate sex party murders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Macarena is funny, but the rest of it is not, because it's very clear that I don't think the mom just fainted. I think that she was having a heart attack. I don't know. It seemed like the way her body like tensed up, it felt like it was something going on with her heart. Because I'm like, she stopped breathing. What's going on? What's going on here? Also, I don't think we should be learning how to do like life-saving procedures like in the moment. We supposed to practice on a dummy first, because I too was first aid CPR, certified at a point. We had to practice on a dummy for a lot of hours. You can't just do that. You're gonna kill someone. Because you don't know what you're doing. You got to teach them the Macarena beat right now. Well, we did learn it was staying alive, but whatever.
That's how I learned it too, yeah.
No, I mean, as we all remember from the faculty, that's why you've got Resuscitation Annie in the nurse's closet.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only takeaway from that film.
Nothing. And drink more water.
Yes.
Yes, drugs and more water. Okay, so this is also the moment where Rayane starts to realize, 1 and 1 is not adding up to 2 here. So when we get back on the bus, this is when we start to look on social media. We're checking the news outlets, and Rayane lays eyes on the picture. So this is the eyewitness caricature that woman who got away ended up drawing. So he's maybe onto them. But first, before we can do anything, we need to have a slow motion kind of gay dance party with bisexual lighting at the firehouse.
Yes! This is something.
I love this scene. I would want a party like this.
Right? I mean, this just looks like a lot of fun. I can't remember which of you said it, but this movie has a ridiculous amount of like needle drops and musicality. Like, music is such an integral part of how the story develops. And I kind of love that it's this incredibly masculine environment, but these men are just letting go and dancing with each other. And it's not that gay, but it is not gay.
I mean, yeah, I feel like it feels more at home in Europe. It's something that I don't envision happening in an American firehouse.
No, or at an American club wouldn't even have that. Like, if you're at a straight club, they're not dancing like this. They don't dance at all.
Where are the girls?
In fact, yeah, the girls might dance, and they're usually not dancing with the men because they're a little dangerous sometimes. So I'm dancing on a circle. But I'm like, no, this is very. It gives a different form, like where you have Vincent showing like, oh, I gotta be beefed up, I gotta lift up and flex, and then also, oh, I'm dancing. We're in the light. We're dancing together. We're not ashamed to dance facing each other. There doesn't have to be women present. No one's, feeling strange about it. Versus, no one's like looking at, because I could imagine at a straight club, if you see a group of like people or a group of dudes dancing and you think they're a bunch of straight dudes, and you're going to see other straight dudes looking at them like, ooh, look at them dancing together.
Yeah, look at those gays.
Yeah, they might even start a fight. So I'm like, I love that it was, that's why I love, and that's why, Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, I love this scene. I love that everybody's so comfortable, although it ends up being like, you can see how Alexia / Adrian is in the back, like jamming until Rayane approaches Vincent like, hey, yo, I got to tell you something, come through. Mm-hmm. And you can see the change on their face when they're like, hey, what's going, like, they're already prepared to like, I might have to escape right now. I might be found out.
Yep. The ruse is up. I'm about to be found out. And Vincent clearly turns Rayane away and says, like, now I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. Now is not the time. And Rayane tries to confront Alexia about this and says, there's something about the energy between them, which I thought was interesting because initially when this character was introduced, it seemed like he was checking them out. Like I kind of got a sexy, flirty vibe. But again, I felt like maybe I was displacing feelings from Raw. Like I was transposing the gay roommate from Raw into this scenario where I was like, it's not going to work out, but are we going to do a like, oh, I've fallen for you, but actually, oh no, you're not the person I thought you were. Like it felt a little Shakespearean in the moment.
Yeah, but this person doesn't really have that much of a part in the plot, like that roommate does in Raw.
Yeah, exactly. Although at this point, we think maybe this character is going to be a serious narrative obstacle, right? This is going to be the person who outs Adrian and Alexia. But no, not for much longer.
No, not at all. And also, when Rayane first met them, I felt suspicion. I felt like there was a relationship between him and Vincent where he was like the son figure, and who is this coming into my spot? Because he looked them up and down.
So, I think that's the appropriate reading.
Yeah,
I think that's how you're meant to read it.
He found evidence on him. He was like, oh, look at this picture. They look real familiar. I know that nose look a little different, but look at those eyes. This is the same person.
I gotta get this imposter out of here. Okay, so the other thing that happens that changes the relationships among everyone is that this is when Mom shows up the next day. So Mom is played by Miriam Akhediu, and she is also very obviously suspicious upon meeting Alexia Adrian. So we've got this dinner, and it's like kind of uncomfortable. Like you can tell that Mom kind of wants to go along with this, but also can't stop making remarks that undercut the fact that this is just a facade.
Especially because they're not talking. That's the big thing. They're not talking. And even it's the way that Vincent is protecting them, like almost not even letting the mom in. Because the mom is like, well, can I talk to my son?
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to come somewhere, just the two of us? No, fuck that. Like, yeah, we're very, very protective.
And it's important to know that by this point, Alexia Adrian is like fully pregnant.
Yes.
Big guns. Yeah. Pregnant.
And still wrapping themselves, like pushing it down.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mom does end up walking in on a topless Alexia Adrian, and this is after they have been punching and scratching themselves to the point that we have torn open a hole in the belly, and you can see a kind of metallic sheen underneath.
Yeah, it's like the walls of their uterus are metal, but
yeah.
I still don't know. I'm suspending my disbelief the same way I suspended my disbelief with Love Lies Bleeding. I know y'all seen the end, but I was like, wait a minute now. So we just go, okay, nope, this is the movie. This is what's happening. All right, fine. Okay, this works. We just gonna tie this down. Oh, okay. The stomach is literally
no.
This is all right.
No,
I've suspended it. Nope, it's happening.
No, because I was looking at y'all. Gotta stop. Be fucking for real. Please stop playing with
disbelief.
No, because at one point they just lay back and they're like, "I'm defeated." Yeah, because come on now, stop. You too pregnant for that.
And we see at this point in the film, every time we see Alexia Adrian without the ace bandages on, the back, the tits, the belly, it's all cut the fuck up. Like, they are wearing these bandages for so long, so tight, that they have been cutting, like, they are self-harming themselves in a completely new and different way.
all try to like fit into a certain shape and how it's harming them. So I was like, look at that. It's a double Andre.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can never say Andre.
Double Andre. Too
I love
funny.
it. It's
the best.
Andre. Yes.
Andre 3000.
Okay, so obviously, now that Mom has seen this, you know, there's no going back from this. And Mom is unwilling to play the game that Vincent is playing, but she recognizes implicitly how important it is to him. So all she says to Alexia, Adrian, is, he needs this and don't fuck it up. Like, it's a very Drag Race, like, okay, this is on your hands now, but you don't get to mess it up.
I love this moment, though, because it also, like, there's like a moment of understanding from Roussel here that I just, like...
She's a really good actress.
Yes. And so the character, that they consciously decide, yes, I'm going to continue this charade.
Yeah, I'm willing to take this on, even though it's like, yeah, multiple people probably understand what's going on, but we are going to continue doing it because it needs to happen.
Okay, this might be a weird comparison, but it really felt like Lars and the Real Girl, where it's like, you know, if you don't know, like Lars and the Real Girl is where Ryan Gosling is dating that sex doll. But the whole town, the whole community buys into the delusion with him to help him. And I was getting very much like those vibes from this scene, which I really, really, really appreciated. It felt very heartfelt.
Right, yeah. And then compare and contrast that to Servant, which, of course, Julia Ducournau directed several episodes on, where we try to do that, and all it does is actually hurt everybody all the more. Like, going along with the game and pretending like things are okay when a woman loses her child, and then we put a doll in place, it basically just fucks up everybody's life.
I never thought about comparing Lars and the Real Girl with Servant, but yes, 100% yes.
Okay. Someone has already told me to watch Servant, and I have not done that yet, but I've never...
I think it was me, Jazz. I think it was me.
It might have been you.
But I will say, it is really good, and it's 4 10-episode seasons, and the episodes are 30 minutes long.
Yes.
Oh.
I will never stop telling people to watch this goddamn show because it is worth your time. It's worth your effort. And yeah, like, if you thought you could get away from Julia Ducournau hurting you with really awful imagery and great Foley work, then maybe you shouldn't watch Servant, because she directs some of the gnarliest episodes of that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see it. Yep.
Yeah.
You had to say with Julia Ducournau hurting you. And I was like, I'm in for the ride. Thank you.
It's my new kink.
Yep.
Okay, so later, Alexia/Adrian assists Vincent with his injection. Although, again, it seems like we just can't shake this sadistic serial killer, because I assume she would know how to do an injection. And you see them wiggle the syringe to cause him pain.
Yes, I have a note about that, because again, they seem like one of the children who be pulling the flies off of my mom, or stepping on frogs, or, you know,
burning ants.
Listen, and again, those children, they need love, but they also need to be watched.
I love that. The whole, like, bad child horror subgenre is like, that's the umbrella that we put it on. They need love, but they also need to be fucking watched.
Adult supervision at all times.
The kids are not okay.
Yeah. Oh, boy. So this is an interesting moment, though. So they are trying to help him, but he has made this pledge that it is his duty to protect them. And again, this feels like a silent transaction passes between them, because in the very next fucking scene, we effectively see Vincent kill Rayane by giving him a flammable object during a fire, and then he just goes boom.
Wow, I didn't expect that. See, again, every time I'm like, this movie is going, oh, okay, so now you're an accomplice. Okay.
It's funny, too, Ducournau's inspiration for this scene specifically is 1917.
Oh, that is not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say something like Backdraft.
Nope.
I haven't seen 1917.
It's like all the woods and shit, you know? It also, like, this, visually, this whole sequence looks like it belongs in a different film.
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen the one instance where they're going out and it's the simulation, but that was brief, and I felt like it was just confirmation. Oh, right, they're firemen, and they're going to go out and do these kinds of things. And then you think, oh, is this another training drill? But then someone literally fucking dies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's getting too real at work. We talked about this. Horror on the clock. Who would have thought?
Not clocking in to get blown the fuck up.
Who pays your fee?
Hopefully. Meanwhile, in the shower, we see that Alexia Adrian is getting very close to delivery because the water is running black from the vajayjay.
Oh my god.
Send help.
Literally send help.
And like the body horror pregnancy thing where it's like you see the baby's hand push on her stomach.
Mm-hmm. Little fingers poking out of the abdomen. Were you disappointed that it wasn't some kind of like a car signet or something like the Ford logo pushes out of the belly or something?
Oh, okay. No, I would have turned the movie off. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm removing 1.5 stars completely. How dare you?
Too stupid.
That would have been too much.
I did want the baby to be made more of metal and not just have a metal spine, but yeah, I wanted like a machine to come out of her.
Trace, half of the face is titanium.
Yeah, but I wanted the whole thing. Like,
you wanted like a fully metal. I wanted
Tetsuo. I wanted Tetsuo the Iron Man to come out of her.
Okay.
Right. I thought that's what I thought was coming, but
yeah.
Okay. So we pulled back a little bit, is what we're saying.
Yeah. There's restraint here.
Yeah, right. I do like this moment where Alexia Adrian apologizes to the baby and pledges that they're not going to hurt it anymore, although they do then reapply the bandages or start to.
Okay, and I honestly don't love that because it just falls into that trope of, somebody
who doesn't want children has children and changes their perspective.
But also, I get that it's combined with their relationship with Vincent right now, so like that is going into it. But yeah, this just felt like, pregnancy makes you more motherly and it stops you from being a serial killer.
Right.
Not at all.
No, they've been dangerous. They have been dangerous their whole lives. Actually,
I don't know. It's interesting, right? Because we won't see them murder or even threaten anyone further. We should note, like, the movie is actually quite close to being done. And you almost don't anticipate it because you don't realize, the birth is going to be the climax of this movie until we're kind of in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So Vincent does walk in on the reapplication of the binding. So we are tits out, belly is huge, and there's no hiding this. So we're all waiting for the shoe to drop. I'm going to bring Geffen back in for this. So they say, with Adrian's condition, Ducournau primes us for a scene of abject revelation and horrified rejection. Eventually, Vincent must learn that his son has breasts and a pregnant belly, that his son is not his son. But every time the viewer expects Vincent to discover Adrian's secret and cast out the imposter, Vincent responds with sincere tenderness. The inevitable patriarchal rejection of the feminized son never comes. The more Adrian quote-unquote fails his gender, the more Vincent insists upon his love. I kind of like that. I mean, I don't know how much we actually know of Vincent as a character. Like, really, we have had to speculate so much about his intentions, apart from like, I want my son back and I will do anything to keep the sort of veil over my eyes. But I think Landon does such a good job with this that when we see these moments, it's still really emotionally impactful.
Yeah, and also I feel like it kind of helps to humanize Adrian / Alexia because you have someone giving them unconditional love, and I think maybe that's what they were craving at the beginning. They were like allowed to just be themselves, and someone was still going to accept them no matter what. Although I don't know if they should accept that they are killing people and stuff like that because it was clear. They had to find out maybe you're not who you say you are, but did you really have to kill Rayane like this, like that? I don't know if that was necessary.
Well,
they knew too much.
It's actually, I'm surprised they don't bond over that more because it could be a thing where it's like, is Vincent going to then kill anyone who threatens this new status quo in his life?
Yes, to the point where I'm actually kind of surprised that mom gets out of this movie.
Well, because Vincent doesn't find out that she knows.
Right. Yeah. But even the fact that Alexia Adrian doesn't kill them, right? I mean, I guess at that point there's a different kind of emotional vulnerability. But
yeah, I think it's very much, baby, I'm big pregnant. I'm already going through it, and you just bam.
Yes.
They literally just bust through the door like, I see what the fuck going on. And you're like, oh, my stomach. Yeah, no.
Then they feel sorry for them.
Mm-hmm.
They was like, what did you get yourself into?
Yeah, like my belly is about to rip open like I am that lady from Slither. I don't need more drama in my life right now. Okay, so let's have another dance party, but the vibe is a little different this time. So the men are performing masculinity because this time it is a mosh pit.
Yeah. Open the pit up. Sorry. I was like, yes. Young me would have been in the mosh pit, not me this age.
But this is like dangerous. I mean, I'm watching this recognizing I'm seeing a pregnant individual in the middle of a bunch of hyper masculine men who are just pushing them around. And I know, you know, once again, we're watching somebody who has killed countless people at this point, but I do find myself worrying for Alexia, Adrian in this moment. Like, oh, you're pregnant. Maybe don't go into the group of scary men.
Well, but it doesn't matter, though, because they're going to not participate in a mosh pit and instead do a striptease on top of this truck.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously this is a full-on callback to the dancing that we do on the car at the opening, right? Mm-hmm. So we are emphasizing sexuality. There's a seduction to this because, you know, initially it seems like, yeah, okay, get him, you know, because they all think that Adrian's a boy, quote unquote, get him up on the fire truck, and they're cheering and everything. And then the minute that Alexia Adrian starts to dance, the cheers subside and the confusion sets in. But I love that Alexia Adrian doesn't stop. Even when Vincent comes in and sees what they are doing, the dancing doesn't stop until Vincent leaves.
Listen, because that was their jam. First of all, I wanted to know, what did the firefighters expect? Okay, they didn't have the aux cord. The firefighters had the aux cord. Y'all put that needle drop on. That's some body roll music. What the fuck did you expect them to do? Did you expect them to get up there and like start doing the hokey pokey? I don't know what. Like, you were playing Lonely Strange. Like that is pop your pussy music. I don't know what else you want from people, but.
Now, I will say, so, and this is from the Vulture interview with Ducournau. So this, what they say is, about halfway through filming, Ducournau realized the film she was making was even better than the one she had in her head. She had this epiphany during this specific scene. To Ducournau, this scene represents what she describes as her queer vision of the world. One that had to transpire in her mise-en-scène with light, with angles. Not just the script, it's also how you portray and deconstruct gender stereotypes. Ducournau was so certain of its power that she shot this scene through only once.
Whoa, risky. But also there's that, I don't know, there's that electricity to this. Like, I remember the first time I saw this movie, at this point, I fully had no fucking idea where the movie was going to go. You can tell that we're reaching some kind of end, but also you don't know what that's going to be. And scenes like this are confounding because it didn't seem like we were going to go here, or not now. But I love that this is such a deconstruction of gendered sexuality. Like, the fact that Adrian, Alexia uses their body to just eliminate all kinds of like testosterone and masculinity, like just expose the artifice that these men are doing, the posturing with the mosh pit. It's a really interesting scene.
I also like that when you pan out to like everybody's viewing, there's confusion, there's disgust, there's like all these different, you know, reactions to them dancing up there, which I was like, okay, I like that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked it if maybe somebody looked a little bit maybe intrigued by it, like, oh, okay, am I getting turned on? What's going on? But I do think that's where the confusion maybe comes in as well.
No, I saw too. It looked like there was glitter in their eyes. They was looking like, they was like, look at that scene, like, look at the crowd. It's like 2 or 3 that's in the front, like, I'm like, they didn't take their eyes off that direction, not once. They watched them dance the whole time, and I was watching too, because seduction in all caps.
Yeah, definitely seduction. Okay, so we're very nearly there. We need to cross-cut between Alexia Adrian cry-fucking the fire truck Well, Vincent drunkenly lights his own chest on fire, and neither one of these seem entirely coincidental or even accidental. Like, Vincent is clearly, well, quite literally playing with fire, but it takes him way too long because he is super inebriated to realize he is on fire.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like he's willing to go with it until the moment he doesn't, and he puts it out. And then it feels like Alexia Adrian is trying to recapture that moment from the Cadillac earlier, and or, I don't know, do you think this is one last desperate attempt to abort?
I don't think so. I think they just like fucking cars. I actually just think they were into it.
Too, I believe intercourse in your third trimester is meant to help induce birth.
Oh.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, maybe it's both.
So maybe she's like, get this thing out of me.
Right.
Maybe, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm also thinking about like, okay, we're back with the fire again. We're back with the fire, and we're back with a parental figure in this person's life being either caught ablaze by fire or being threatened by fire. And I also think that's like sitting here talking about, ooh, that's interesting. We bringing it back. We started with fire. We're ending with fire, while we're also trying to figure out, oh my God, we still pregnant?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Alexia Adrian's belly does begin to split. So this is when we make a naked walk to Vincent's room, crawl into bed, say, I love you. And then we start with some kissing. So we're kissing the naked stomach, moving up to the chest. We do get a kiss on the mouth. This is when Vincent breaks it away. It's quite violent and shocking. You know, I think he's taken aback by this. But Alexia Adrian is also firmly in labor. So before he leaves, they call to him and say, please don't leave me. I'm scared.
Mm.
And then they start helping to deliver the baby.
Yes.
But also, this made me really uncomfortable, and it reminds me a little bit, not like they're the same scene, but it reminds me of a scene from Eve's Bayou where you have the dad and the daughter sharing a kiss, and it's inappropriate.
Yep.
And I'm like, this feels like I shouldn't be looking at this.
Right.
No one should be doing it. I know that actually they are not related for real.
But the mind plays that trick on us, right? Like the minute that they put their head on his stomach, it's too close to his penis. And partially I wondered, oh my God, are we about to go into a blowjob scenario? And it's just cringe, right? Because you think, no, you can't do, they're not related. They could do this if they wanted to. They could fuck if they wanted to. But the relationship that has developed over the course of the film makes this feel like incest.
Yeah. So I'm like, please. Again, I have that feeling of my skin is crawling, but also I can't turn the movie off. Please send help.
Yeah. Okay, so we deliver this baby because Vincent goes into full fatherly fireman mode, and Alexia Adrian does reveal their real name. So Alexia says, my name is Alexia, and he doesn't really care. But, yeah, I'm curious, what did the three of you think? Did you expect them to die delivering this baby?
No, I did not. And I don't know. It's an ending. I feel like I was in kind of a stupor the first time the credits rolled when I watched this movie.
Right.
Because again, I ended. I'm like, well, what are we doing? Like, is the whole point just like to deliver a new surrogate son to Vincent? Like, what was Alexia's or Adrian's journey here? Like, at the risk of sounding dumb, like, what was the point of it all?
Right. What am I meant to take away from this?
Yeah.
The first time I watched it, of course, I didn't expect them to deliver the baby. I didn't expect it to go that far anyway. I thought they were going to get caught before that.
Sure.
I didn't expect, so no, I didn't expect them to die in that manner. But as I watched it a few other times, I was like, okay, they talk about the titanium that's in their head, and a violent blow will, cause it to shift. And then you think about the violence of childbirth. Like that is a violent experience. That's not, things rip for real, whether they're titanium or not. So I'm just like, okay, it's going to be the childbirth that takes them out. It's going to be the childbirth that causes the trauma to their head, and which you see the skin rip apart and things shift, like as they're pushing. You know, especially because I'm sure they did not see any prenatal health care beforehand. And, you know, when you have a baby that, you know, might need a little special care, they be putting people on bed rest and stuff that. So I feel like they might have needed to lay down if they were going to deliver a metal baby. But
maybe stop the ripping a little bit.
Yeah, something. But the second time around, I was like, their death seems likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt the same way. I knew, because like you had brought up, being pregnant is one of the most scariest times that a human can go through. It is a dangerous time. Like, anything in your body can turn off. Your body could be like, girl, pregnancy. Bitch, we're not doing any of this.
We're done.
And we're done.
Goodbye.
Exactly. And scene. Like, it's over. So it did not come as a shock to me. But I feel like, you know, regardless of whatever happened, I knew the demise of this character was going to show up, like, before it was over. Like, whether someone else killed them or, you know, they decided to unalive themselves, I knew something was going to happen. I did not assume that they would, you know, the pregnancy would definitely ultimately end in their ending.
Right.
But it doesn't seem too crazy. It makes sense that this being was probably, you know, doing more than just regular feeding off of, you know, the carrier. It's like a
parasite.
Like, yes, exactly. Because obviously we know this wasn't a normal pregnancy anyways. Like, we're leaking motor oil. We clearly have metal parts in our womb. Hello.
Yeah.
And then also, what does the being that we are currently pregnant with, what do they need? Like, they're also made of metal? Like, they have a metal plate and a metal spine?
Well, I feel like we're already asking too many questions, though, about the baby at this point. Like, at the end of the day, I don't think the hybridization of metal and flesh in this baby is that important? But maybe I'm overlooking it.
No, I feel like it is. Because it also tells me that this is not a normal situation. So this would not be
this is a normal situation.
I mean, yeah, but like, this is not like a normal pregnancy. So I'm not going to assume that this being is going to make it to the end. Like, I really feel like there's so much going on that your body cannot handle this.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. Well, I think the minute that we started to see literal rips in Alexia Adrian's abdomen, it was not a good sign. I mean, yeah, maybe something could have happened that would have prevented them from fully dying, but even the amount of leakage that we're seeing coming out during this delivery, it's like, oh, this does not look good.
Yeah. Also, you know, the skin is an organ too, so that the rips, I feel like that's infection. I don't think they're treated. They're putting the same dirty bandage on top of this.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. If we've learned nothing from this movie, from Crash, from Tetsuo, the minute that you start fusing with automobiles or technology, like the minute your body starts to become too cybernetic, you're probably destined for a bad end.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, basically the final shots of this is that Alexia Adrian is dead. Vincent has the baby. It does have a metal spine. It does have a metal faceplate. And he just cradles this thing, and we venture off into destinations unknown, because that is not a story we're telling any further.
The movie's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And I am even more terrified than I was before, because I really don't think Vincent should have that baby by himself. I don't trust Vincent with that. No. Somebody need to come get that child.
Child Protective Services.
Please.
CPS.
On the double. Please.
Yeah. Okay. But, well, that is Titane.
That is Titane. Jazz and Kat, as the guests of honor, what are your final thoughts on this film?
Watch it.
Yes, watch it. It's very beautiful, although it has some very uncomfortable scenes. But the conversations that you can have just by watching this makes it like, this is art. Ooh, and it's sexy. And y'all know I don't do sex and violence like that. But there are a few movies where I'll watch those.
There we go.
I like this movie. I do think I like it more than Raw. It does work better for me on a second viewing. I'm still not like... Julia Ducournau is a director that I find that I admire and respect more than I actually enjoy her work. But I will say that after this conversation, like, I've already gravitated more towards this film than Raw, like, for sure.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
What about you, Joe?
Okay, so I'm going to end this with Geffen because I think their piece is quite good. So here's a final quote. Ducournau's imagery reframes tropes of transphobic cinema to illuminate the monstrosity of all gendered bodies, cis or otherwise. She suggests that transness is not a contained error within an otherwise pristine system, but the key to understanding what it means to have a body in the first place. All humans twist disobedient flesh into communicative social forms. That's a little unwieldy, but bear with me. Mm-hmm. Everyone falls short of gender's fragile scaffolding in life, and everyone ultimately denatures into entropy through death. These failures and collapses don't indicate a deficiency in humanity. They are central to what it means to be human. In Titane, there is no such thing as a transgender body because there is no such thing as a cisgender body.
Ooh, okay, so take that, anyone that was accusing this film of being transphobic.
I mean, ultimately, I don't think it negates the transphobic claims, but I do think that it broadens the discussion beyond the binary of, oh, what is this film trying to do? Is it actually transphobic? Is it not? And so on. Like, I think it can be, but it can also be more.
Yeah. It's all bodies are bodies that body away.
Yes, truly that.
All right, well, before we announce what we're covering next week, Jazz and Kat, let everyone know, where can they find you on social media?
You can find us on all the things Girl That's Scary. If you throw it into the Google machine, something fun will come back out. Surprise!
Oh, that's it. That's very succinct. I love that. Go to Google.
Yeah, no, seriously. All the things Girl That's Scary. Like, if you're like, girl, what the fuck? Google, that's it.
Google
and thank y'all for having us.
Oh, well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us on Twitter and Instagram at HorrorQueers. Shoot us an email at horrorqueers@gmail.com. Find us on Letterboxd to keep track of all the films we've covered. If you want to chat with other listeners, join our Facebook Horror Queers group. If you have a moment, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want more content, please support the show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/HorrorQueers. Subscribing this month will get you 327 hours of Patreon content, including this month's new episodes on Hannibal Season 1, Episode 8, Strange Darling, Trap, Alien Romulus, an audio commentary on James Cameron's Aliens to tie in with Alien Romulus, and a special bonus episode for every single patron. So if you spend $1, you will get our bonus episode on Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland.
Woo! 35th anniversary.
35th. You're so good at the anniversaries. I never remember that shit. But Joe.
Yes.
I'm so happy we're going to finally get to see this. What are we covering next week?
Yeah, so this is obviously a Trace programming pick, and it's a first-time watch for me. We're going to watch Critters?
Yes! Okay. I didn't know you hadn't seen this, Joe, and when I mentioned how much I liked it, I want to say a couple years ago, you were like, why? Because you've only seen the 2019 reboot film Critters Attack, yes, which by all accounts is atrocious.
I mean, it's not terrible, but it's definitely not great, so I didn't understand your enthusiasm.
Like, these were like, I watched 1 and 2 and 3 like so much as a kid. 1 and 2 are great, 3 is not, but 3 has Leonardo DiCaprio in it.
Okay.
Anyway, everyone, please come with us to Grover's Bend. I think it's in Kansas next week. Well, we'll talk about Critters, but until then, we can cross out T10.
Indeed, and cross out Horror Queers.